Yeah, apparently.
That's funny.
Like, I don't know why he's guarding for like it's just so serious. He has the ability to like pick the losing side of every battle. It's hilarious.
He's like the opposite of Jim Cramer. Like, where if Jim Cramer says something is good, it's bad. This character just knows to point out who is bad and stick with that stock, ride or die. He's like, oh,
Yeah.
well-known celebrity is like clearly got a case of the nose candy addiction and has been a bad person to his children. Sounds like I'm hodling this guy for the rest of my days.
Oh my god, it's so hilarious. And
I'm
the
sticking
depths
to
which
Rakita coin as long as I live. Thank you, Mr. Ralph. We appreciate your input.
Marlowe, August 28th.
See, if he had a Sears
10th anniversary.
If he had a seersucker suit, he could play like the very stereotypical racist Southern lawyer that Hollywood loves to put out. Like he would be that case. It would be just something you'd see out of Deliverance or whatever, like just an avatar of just disgusting stereotypes.
That comes from him talking about like he was yelling the date over and over again when he's gonna see his kid Xander. He's like August 3rd, and then the Mexican airline screwed him over. But then he's like August 28th, August 28th. Is Master Milo is coming on.
I've never actually listened to him talk, so my entire
You've never listened to an OG kill stream?
No, I haven't.
My god!
And if I did, I don't. It's been years, but also so my entire schema of how he speaks is your impressions of him, and then watching clips of him get physically assaulted in the streets, which is. I don't really recommend on this. Yes,
you can see this.
Venerian incel outlaw prince.
What a name too.
What I love about these usernames is that it's like inventing a new sentence in the English language. You have willed words together that have never existed before, and now I've uttered it into being. So enjoy your username, sir.
Bimmy
the boys
Juffet.
Are back. Bimmy Juffet. That's true.
Who's that profile? Is that the YouTube Mass Fun?
Yes.
It kind of looked like Xena LeVay. Did you know that that Peterson? I watched it. He interviewed Xena LeVay, her name is Xena
Church of Satan person.
Yeah, but like she left to become like a Buddhist, and she like totally denounced her father and everything. I think it's funny though she keeps the name Shrek because I believe she's divorced from Nicholas Shrek. So
probably not worth the effort. I don't know.
You never listen to me talk, suffer prude. Suffer prude. My good friend Wrestling with
Wormwood. Gonna give me the vapors.
Go to Twitter and go follow Wrestling with Wormwood.
Welcome Wrestling with Wormwood. Sorry, I have to block this e-girl. Sorry, I don't care that you're following.
Oh, did you see that one? Did you see
No. Yeah, I saw it. I saw the clip.
You listen to the Twitter space?
I listened to it anonymously, as I always do with these drama bits.
The best is Travis. Okay, for those who don't know,
it has not. We haven't had an e-girl / like woman hating Twitter space in a long time. We haven't had a good one in a long time.
Yeah,
I haven't been in part of one since the infamous
Rizoma
School space. Still has me blocked. God bless her. So yeah, I listened to this one as I always do on my computer anonymously.
Yeah. No, it was hilarious. Someone said she looked like Keith Woods with a purple wig. It's like, what? No, but she was going on. Okay, she's not. You know what? But her father, who is Ukrainian, Russian, something, was adopted by a black family in the 70s.
Interesting.
And then she claims that she was like a femcel. And for those who don't know, this e-girl, she was filmed outside of the Democratic National Convention with a
lovely cardboard sign that would have your favorite gamer words on it.
Favorite gamer words, favorite gamer symbols as well.
Yes.
And so she got super mega viral because of Ian Chungus, who does not live in America. I have more of a right. I just came from America. I have more of a right to talk about American politics than Ian Miles Chungus.
So he said it. He had a tweet the other week or last week that I tagged Popehead in because I needed him to know. Apparently, he said he lives in Rome. And
no, that's the Radio Genoa guy.
No. Ian Miles Chungus said this.
That he lives in Rome?
Yeah. And I was just like, that's disheartening. What are you doing in Rome? Because I tagged Vade in it, and I was like, you need to take care of this. You need to find him.
Popehead needs to go and get him, yeah.
Yeah, Popehead needs to take care of business.
Mr. D is in the audience. So anyways, yeah, I've never had... Knock on wood, I've never had a bad experience in America. But anyways,
yet.
Yeah. You better watch. I might end up living in America at least part-time very soon. But anyways, so
Gio, I got enough part-time Americans in this country as it is. You gotta commit.
That's true.
I'm an immigration restrictionist, but I can make exceptions for friends.
Well, it's different anyway. Yeah, I think like I'm open borders when it comes to European or your immigration. But that's I don't know, because some people there was a debate like years ago about like a lot of the alt-right, they're like, why can't they just all move to America? It's like, well, that kind of defeats the point.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like I think people should fight in their own country. But anyways,
so true.
So this e-girl, she caused a kerfuffle, and for those who don't know, Travis LeBlanc is an old ancient head from Countercurrents, and he was like grilling her, and it was hilarious, and she posted some stuff about being of a particular, at least in part, a particular ethnicity, and she's like, I only claim that to infiltrate some like pro Transformer group, and it's just a convoluted mess. But anyways, let's not talk about that. Next week, I don't know if we could stream next week because of Prude,
I am moving, so
yeah.
There will be a temporary disruption in content activities going forth.
He's moving to Miera with Ethan Ralph. He's going to live in a tin shack as well. No, I'm kidding.
No, I am moving closer to my office to cut my commute in half and closer to where my social life is. So I'm moving to another town. And my life is in the right direction, and I thank God for it every day.
But so next week, if it's not next week, it'll be the week after, because it is the 10-year anniversary of Gamergate.
If it's next week, and if it's not next week, and I'm on vacation, I'm just gonna get my calendar shit out now. Thanks, Gio. If it's not next week, I am out that entire next week. I'm at an iconography workshop, so our Gamergate episode will have to either be A, pre-recorded, or B, delayed.
Do you think we can get Carl on?
I'm mutuals with him now, so I can ask. I highly doubt Carl will come on, but I can ask him.
He's got a manager and everything.
He does have a manager, and that manager I don't think he likes me. But I can ask, and I have DM access now, so I can just DM Carl because we're mutuals.
Yeah.
So I will do that. You know who also followed me in this last week and a half that made me feel like I kind of made it? Who? I hate doing this weird parasocial shit. I got Sam Hyde. No, Sam Hyde follows me.
Oh, Sam Hyde.
Helen Andrews has followed me for like 3 years, and
she unfollowed me for some reason. I don't know.
She and I are still mutuals, and I have a deep love for that Teutonic autism. Not in that covet thy neighbor's wife way, but Helen, if you were single, I would. But you're married and in Australia.
She lives in Australia?
Yeah.
Why? Because of her
husband? Yeah.
Oh, that's why.
Or at least last I checked, she lives there. I don't know if she does anymore, but she did for a while.
That's crazy. But
I've opened
America. So I mean, well, we could get her on the show one day. I've yet to read a new book about. Yeah.
Yeah, we probably could. I've wanted to interview her for 2 years because. She's been on she's probably one of my favorite people from who works at the American Conservative, because she's just I'm gonna say it until I'm blue in the face. It's not ideology, it's demographics, and I'm like, yes, queen, yes. But I don't simp, but I get close sometimes, and that worries me.
Yeah, and of course we have great e-girls as well in our own chat. Well, I shouldn't say that. I shouldn't denigrate our female listeners.
I was about to
by
say,
calling
like,
me girls.
Kate J is one of the nicest people we have for an audience member.
Yeah, and Don Browning and other Zed Dead. I don't know. She's kind of crazy, but she's a crazy boomer lady. But anyways, I forgot to mention with Gabe last week. Last week I did the Cole report
Live.
Live, yeah, and people wanted more live Cole reports, but I'm debating whether to, if I have enough time to release the Solion episode this week, because I have like other things I have to do. T.R. Hudson, I have to do Night at the Movies. But last week I neglected to mention that it was already the 8th anniversary of the passing of Sky King Rich Russell. So I always mention it, and I can't believe it's already been. Has it been not 8 years? It's been 6 years, 7 years, something like that. So if you could press F in the chat for Rich Russell, for Sky King, his story really touched me at the time, and I think he's like one of the very few. I remember, I shouldn't even mention him because everyone hates him, but I remember my old editor back in the Thermometer days said that he was one of the very few figures that is like praised by the E-right that isn't like an outright mass casualty or terrorist or far-right dictator. And also press F in the chat for Alain Delon, the incredible, important French actor who recently passed away at 88 years old. He was very sympathetic to our guys. He was a great actor. If you've ever seen French New Wave cinema, he is one of the most important actors who have ever lived. So press F in the chat for Rich Russell and for Alain Delon. And he knew some quite infamous figures, by the way, Alain Delon.
Yes, he did.
Not just Marine Le Pen, but he knew he was friends with Leon Degrelle. Oh my God, that's incredible. Like, it's very funny how France is like a schizophrenic mishmash of like far-right tradcaths and like anarchist leftoids and third worldists. It's very, France is have always been politically ambitious, to say the least. Yeah, okay, I know, Mr. D, I know that he had illegitimate kids, and he did treat some of his children quite badly, and there was a bunch of lawsuits left and right between his children fighting over his inheritance, and then he married this crazy woman. I mean, he married quite a number of women. Yeah, and he had this other crazy Asian woman, I think, and they then the kids sued her. He sued his kids. It was just a disaster. It was kind of like when Andy Warhol died. Like me, Mr. D actually talked about that. When Andy Warhol died, it was a total mess. All the vultures and estate people and lawyers, and they just like swooped in and they locked his studio door on his brother, and it was terrible. But anyways, that usually happens when you have very famous people, artists, and very famous.
Most famous people don't have their affairs in order when it comes time to answer the call.
Well, I mean, Andy Warhol was because he was shot by Solanus. Am I pronouncing that right, Prude?
I don't
know. Valerie
know.
Solanus.
Criminal, awful person. I try not to remember the names of criminals, but my media apparatus does a really good job at making sure I remember countless criminals.
Warhol could, but Warhol, he could have lived because he had this like private nurse company come in. Solanus, he had this private nurse company come in, and he could have lived.
If you want to know more about it, Mr. D has done probably the most in-depth biographical series on Andy Warhol's life that you can go look up.
And AA's channel.
Yes.
So we said that we both have been neglecting the DNC, but apparently the DNC has just become a religious festival to worship at the altar of that one medical procedure. That's what there's been some buses and some vans offering free child sacrifices and castrations. That's what Mary Harrington wrote about that in Unheard. Yeah.
Oh, well, there you go.
It used to be a joke. I remember there was this one comic guy, but it was like in the style of Far Side, where it was like, this is what conservatives think a Democrat future would be like. And I believe it was during the Bush years. And one of them was a drive-through, So it's like, well, I guess, more woke, more correct, right?
Well, that, and I think that the boomer, the boomer cons, as awful as they are, I think they have some decent gut instincts, because that definitely came true in a lot of places.
I wonder though, Prude, like, I mean, as an American, you being an American, like, you remember, okay, we paid attention to the RNC, obviously, right? Because we're frogs, but
Well, that, and it was also like days right before Trump, it was days after Trump got shot.
yeah.
I
So
mean, we were talking about this the other week, and I think that was sort of important to reiterate it. It's just that basically, from everything that we know, and especially now that we heard that the first shots that went towards the shooter, the would-be Trump assassin, was from local police and not the Secret Service.
yes,
And so, I mean, Trump was basically left to die by the Secret Service. Local cops did their job by a guy whose alleged cell phone data has him in connection with the FBI buildings, and was a really shitty rifleman marksmanship team. His body had been cremated and not examined by family or anything like that. Very sketchy ass circumstances. And yet we've
yeah,
already moved on from the fact that they just tried to kill Donald John Trump, the 45th president of the United States and the GOP nominee for this election. And so I think it's important to reiterate that it's been, what, a month, less than a month since all this stuff, a little over a month since all this stuff
yeah.
happened. And we're talking about, a drive-in vasectomy clinic, child sacrifice bus, and watching Democrats pass the torch to a blithering old man who is 1 foot in the grave. And, we're trying to act like, no, we didn't just watch our government try and kill Trump.
Well, there was this writer, I forget who mentioned it, but there was this writer in the Federalist, and this isn't like wacko, this is like mainstream conservatism. I neglected to realize this one tidbit, but apparently the Secret Service pulled people away from the Butler event where Trump was, because Jill Biden just so happened to have a talk near Butler, Pennsylvania. That's like,
Yeah, she had some sort of education forum or something like that, and they had that.
yeah,
Plus, the people who were there weren't all entirely Secret Service. Some of them were reservists or not Trump's team, because they had been on
yeah.
leave. So it was just this perfect culmination of events that, again, if had he not turned his head.
Apparently that famous photo of the Secret Service sniper, apparently that rifle is like $12,000. And like the whole loadout kit's almost like 20 grand for like the whole loadout.
Oh boy.
Some gun people can look that up, but yeah, that was the one. And they didn't like cordon off that roof. They even just wanted to put not a sniper, but just a law enforcement officer on top of that roof, because it was directly in the line of sight of Trump. I mean, who would have figured that a sniper could potentially go there on a raised area that it's in the line of sight of Trump? I mean, that's who would have thought that, right? I mean, nobody. No, it's not it's not like the Secret Service has multiple millions of dollars and eggheads.
Oh, I know those damn sloped roofs, man.
Yeah. So, but the DNC, what I wanted to ask though is that I remember like all the discourse on right-wing Twitter and elsewhere that, of course, the first like 4 days of the RNC was abysmal and everyone hated it. And it was a typical like conservative, like, put the woke away, Dems are the real racists, tax cuts, maybe some pro-life thing here and
Yeah,
there.
none of that's gone away for the Republican Party writ large. But I mean, I guess the differences with the DNC is that they all kind of have to get on messaging. I know Biden had said that the Gaza protesters have some points. And so, I mean, it's been this casual, every ethnic minority goes up there to do their best black Southern preacher impression as they talk about how their enemies are, and how, screw white people. And it's so good that Biden is probably the last straight white man on the Democratic ticket to ever hold the White House. I mean, like, that's just, I haven't paid attention to it. And maybe I will once we listen to these things. I mean, again, the other thing that has come out, they're talking about IVF, and then Tim Waltz lied again, saying that his family needed IVF to have their kids. Turns out they didn't use IVF; they did a different treatment. They did the turkey baster treatment. So basically, Tim Waltz can't get his wife pregnant. He's an impotent little fella, and a lot of psychosexual issues. I hate to whip out the psychoanalytics. I'm not a fan of it for obvious reasons, but some deep psychosexual shit going on in Mr. Waltz's mind. Does
Yeah.
not it reeks of impotency and male insecurity.
Do you think it was like, why would he humiliate himself?
That's his job. I mean,
well, yeah.
So I mean, like, if you want my opinion on Tim Waltz, you can go watch Oren's show from last Friday, which would have been August 16th. If you want to know more about my opinion there, but basically, like, he is the minstrel show of what Democrats want white people to be. Just like he is the sitcom, goofy, retarded dad. Like, that's his purpose. That's how he's been acting.
Pretty much.
And he's trying to act like he's supposed to be this like macho ex-military straight guy, but he's like a goofy little queer, and that's all that he is. He's like a token gay white person on a modern 2024 sitcom. And like, a lot of these things feature him more than anything else because Kamala is just so bloody unlikable. And then you had that recent allegations that she was like pissed drunk at some event not too long ago before the convention. And so, I mean, just like, Cruz and Kamala wouldn't surprise me at all, whatever names that people come up with her. But it is good, I guess, to just know that this is what we have to deal with, because it's not like either of those two people are going to be running the country. It is going to be a cabal of administrative officials that have been in power for decades and have an elite recruitment system. I say elite in quotation marks. Recruitment system of academics and non-governmental organizations and charities and nonprofits and venture capital to pull from. So, I mean, America and its government is a both wonderfully and cursedly well-oiled machine, despite its numerous dysfunctions.
Yeah, but I wonder though, like, if it's the same phenomenon as, say, like say with us, where we're like, oh, they're cocks, we hate them, they're like shills. But I wonder if, like, the far left, like the far communists and Antifa people, I wonder if they're like the same attitude that, oh, the DNC, they're like a bunch of stodgy old boomers and who cares? Probably not, though, because they like feed red meat to their radicals, whereas the Republican Party, apart from the last night when it was Trump and it was Kid Rock and it was Dana White and Hulk Hogan, like, apart from that,
very Gen X sort of poppy conservatism. But I mean, no, the left enables its radicals, the right doesn't, and that's been sort of the name of the game for the post-war consensus.
There was one, like, there was this band doing a sound check. It may have been Rage Against the Machines. That there was like one Palestinian woman. She wasn't Palestinian, she was a white girl, but like there was a Palestinian protester that stormed the stage with a mask on, but like they let her do her speech for like 5 minutes and the security didn't rip her off, obviously, because
there's been a lot of Gaza pro-Palestinian protests outside and all sorts of crazy shenanigans. I mean, again, like, Biden did give them some, threw them a nod. It's not like they have to balance this crazy coalition balancing of like, well, we don't want to lose Jewish dollars, but also, we can't ignore the blacks too much. We have to let them speak, and then we have to let the pro-Palestine people speak, and then we got to let like AOC and all these other people speak. And so, if you want the future of when people champion, like when these like globe in the profile picture, or like the red rose labor types,
or coconuts,
or the coconuts in their bios want to talk about what a functioning multi-ethnic democracy looks like, the DNC is your one-stop shop for how dumb that looks and how dysfunctional it is.
And see those super chats on YouTube and Entropy, and of course the Entropy link is pinned on the comments. But also, if you're on YouTube, I have the Entropy. Sorry, if you're on X, then the Entropy link is in my the bottom to the stream. So please sneed those super chats. it's greatly appreciated. And me and Prude, we do our best, and we all encourage your support. And like a lot of things going on with Patreon and so forth. And so
Not regretting that subscribe decision early on.
I know. Well, yeah, because of the Apple thing.
The App Store, the Apple wanting to take like what, a 30% cut.
Yeah,
Unreal.
but is that only the app? Because if you sign up, does the 30% apply if you sign up like with?
I don't have a Patreon, so I don't know. I feel like this is due diligence on your part as a entrepreneur and business owner to inform your patrons.
I think if you sign up on the website instead of Apple, it doesn't apply, if I recall. So the 30%, which is absolutely crazy. I mean, it is seriously making me think I should just go to Subscribestar, but then I'd have to like start up all over again. And you know what I mean? So
yeah, well, I mean, it helps to have both, I would say. Outside of all that and internet drama, I don't have much to report on. Apparently the police department that arrested Chris Chan, the body cam stuff leaked.
Yeah, I saw that.
I did not watch it. I just saw that and I was like, oh, that's nightmare fuel. But at least the documentarian has more footage for what, part 50 or whatever he's working on.
So it only applies to the Patreon shop, which I don't have.
Oh, well then you're good.
And Apple will apply a 30% App Store fee to all new memberships purchased in the Patreon iOS app. So go to the website if you want to support me on Patreon. Don't give them your money. It's a total predatory move. I don't know how they can get away with it. If your existing member does not apply to you, the charges only affect people that join in or after November and use the iOS app. So if you go to the website and you don't use I don't know if people use the iOS app. Maybe if they're downloading it for their phones, but there's ways you can get it on your phone anyways. So just use the website and you won't incur the wrath of predatory Apple practices.
Of Tim Apple.
Like that's incredible. Like that's stupid. I mean, if you're existing member,
this isn't the first time they've done that shit either. I mean, they've tried being more predatory with how much of a cut they get out of other apps too.
Yeah, exactly. It says it doesn't apply to existing memberships and memberships made on other platforms, i.e. the website, or if you're on Android. So as long as you don't use the app, you can just go to Patreon and
Android bros, we won.
Yeah, and it'll still be $5 a month, or $20 a month, or $50 a month. But anyways, yeah. So I mean, I don't know. Would it be double dipping if I opened up Subscribestar?
No, I think that it wouldn't be. It's entirely your choice on what to do.
Yeah, true. Maybe I'll open it up just in case. You never know.
Yeah, it's good to have a backup.
Yeah, but not that I'm big enough like Sargon or Lauren Southern. Maybe one day. I mean, well, I probably wouldn't get that big.
Big enough to get canceled? Is that what you're saying?
Yeah, exactly. Like, I mean,
I think any smart person should be prepared.
Like a medium, like Keith Woods, Thomas 77 big would be like my, like, I don't know, like mid-level creator.
I don't know. You've been here for a long time, Gio. Like, people know who you are.
Yeah, I know, but like in terms of like,
I
shouldn't complain about money. I shouldn't complain about money, but I know it's anyways. I have to sell more artwork. That's the only way I'm going to do it. I have to sell more art.
And finish your book.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, apparently Matthew is going to take time out finally to do the rest of the editing. But anyways, so we don't have any more news apart from that e-girl and the DNC. And who cares about the DNC? They're a bunch of demons anyways. And they're going to say the usual slop, and they're going to appeal to their usual cadre of, but anyway, so, I mean, we'll see by the end of the DNC if anything is exciting. I'm sure Kamala is going to give her speech finally. But anyways, so this, I neglected, it's 2024, not 2014. I don't know how I put 2014. I will change that after the stream. But who cares about e-girls? Unexpected words from Gio. Well, if that was the Gio a year ago, I wouldn't be saying that.
This is a changed Gio. This is
fake
Gio with a
Gio,
girlfriend.
Yeah, fake cell
This
Gio.
is fake cell Gio speaking.
Plus, I mean, it's pretty obvious that I personally don't believe that like this girl is a fad. I just think like a lot of e-girls that adopt right-wing politics, it's more of an attention grab sort of thing.
Pick me. Pick
Yeah.
me. No, please.
No. You know, if
Gone.
you're like a mildly attractive woman and you're willing to just totally burn down any career opportunities you've ever had, which I mean, it'd probably be easier because it's sort of like, I think it was Bill Hicks. Not to go like, listen, I'm wholesome, chungus woman respecter, but do you remember that one line from Bill Hicks? If a woman screws up her life, she could just move into yours.
That's true. I think that's still true.
It's still true, yeah. So if you're like an e-girl
I mean,
out
like,
there, if you're mildly attractive,
look. Well, I can't say she screwed up her life, but like, she definitely got into another man's life after a man screwed up. But like, look at Huma Abedin, right?
oh yeah,
You know, you went from
she went from strength to strength, really.
she went from Anthony Weiner to Alex Soros, and
Yeah,
she's like 20 years his senior.
yeah.
So yeah, that Bill Hicks comment is true. In the same way that
Hey, Tony Gio.
the late Mr. Hitchens is correct that women aren't funny.
Some women are, but like,
Yeah, but looks aren't everything.
yeah, true. It's apparently that AA tweet went viral. The one about like arguing with a woman is like certain women are redheads. I'm not a redhead.
That's true.
Yeah,
Isn't it funny though when a random like kind of basic red pill talking point like that from 20 years ago goes viral?
Yeah,
It's always entertaining. It's like when people discover a Howling Mutant tweet on like some random niche site of Twitter, or when it's like when people find out who Varg is, you know, like a random a random subset of Twitter is like, who's this person? And they're like, oh, and it's like, who's this person? Oh, it's the same thing. It's funny.
Yeah, unfortunately,
Dear
a lot
God, episode 99.
I know. At least that's the end of the Soros line. You think that, right? But you
think that?
No, Alex Soros probably has some kind of eugenic program.
Some poor Ukrainian child will be adopted and take the name and be molded by it in the darkness.
He probably has like a whole fleet of Ukrainian women to spread his
There's
genes.
a whole fleet of Ukrainian children for spirit cooking in Huma Abedin's kitchen.
Sort of like, did you ever watch Boys from Brazil?
No.
You never watched Boys from? It was the one where like the Austrian painter had the secret breeding program in Brazil.
No, I've never seen this.
It's like a 70s classic, but it's like basically these group of Austrian painter scientists. They fled to Brazil and they bred the DNA of the mustache man in Brazilian children.
Mm.
Yeah, and they all had like the same like blue eyes and black hair, and it was a classic film. But anyways, who makes Steven Gutenberg a star? We do. That's a Simpsons reference. That's the Stonecutters. That was my old man's favorite episode of The Simpsons. Yeah, it had Gregory Peck in it.
There you
yeah.
go.
I think he was some journalist or something. Anyways, yeah.
Oh yeah. Speaking of The Simpsons, I've the Simpsons profile picture, like you say, Gio, is just such a great dead giveaway. So every time that stupid Friday night goes viral, like I got 1 million views this last weekend, I get an influx of new followers, and I block every single one with a Simpsons profile picture. I scan them, I see them, I'm like, Simpsons, gotta block. I'm not taking
Already leftist dead giveaway. Aging Soylenial. Yeah.
Aging Soylenial detected. Must block account. Nuke from orbit. Block follow list.
Oh man.
So good.
No. The mustache man didn't have blue eyes, but in the film, they gave the kids blue eyes.
They look smacks to the kids.
Yeah, exactly. So I haven't watched that film in years, but anyways, so let's get right into it. So this film was it's doing the film festival.
Shall we explain what we're doing? We're reviewing a documentary, and if I recall correctly, you have connections to these people?
They gave me a free screening. They wanted me to review it, and they followed me on Twitter. So
you obliged.
Yeah. I mean,
And is this the same production company or the same group that produced the infamous documentary that feel when no GF?
No, Alex
Okay.
Lee Moyer is not a part of this.
Okay, just
It's
wanted to make
different
sure.
people.
Different people.
Yeah. So
Just having some familiar faces in it.
yeah, no, not Kirak. No, it's not Kirak. No. Shall we review the Bimbo Ubermensch Kirak when that comes out?
No.
No.
No. I mean, actually, I'm not opposed. I'm just going to have. If we do it, I'm going to have a beer while we do it. I will drink one beer on stream while we do it.
Or are you gonna do the thing where you don't watch it and still review it?
No. I will suffer the witch to live in order to do that.
Yeah.
But I've
I'm
just
still
spoken that into existence, so I'm afraid I may make some serious. Wrestling with Wormwood is such a great.
Still seething over
man.
Gio saying some women are funny. What, you don't think the Rizoma school stream was funny? That was funny.
Looks aren't everything, Gio.
Anyways, I can't think there was some female comedians like all female comedians. They do tend to talk about
It's
like
the same thing.
yeah.
Oh my
like,
gosh, this is that. And
I
then
was having
sex.
sex with this
And
guy.
it's just like it's the Sarah Silverman routine from like 40 years ago, and I'm frankly tired of it. Until women get new and better material.
Yeah, but Sarah Silverman
I'm-
ripped that off from Lisa Lampanelli, so that's
So yeah, wow, this is like Jewish on Italian violence. We will not stand for this.
Okay, I will say the one funny Dasha tweet, because it was true, was stop sexualizing my tight lap pussy. That was
No, the funniest thing she's ever tweeted was some at her body count. She says if you discount Jewish guys, it's like 5.
Yeah,
that was the funniest thing that she has tweeted, and it's only because it's self-deprecating true humor.
Oh my god. Anyways, so this film, it's called Thank You for Sharing, and it came out this year. It's doing the film, yeah. But we were given
just did a showing at Sovereign House earlier this month.
Okay, there you go. And of course, me and Prude are not affiliated with Sovereign House. Don't
We're
make
not
up those conspiracies.
We are not affiliated with any of these people. Gio has it on record in our Telegram discussion. I was very apprehensive about reviewing this, but we watched it. I watched it today because I had nothing to do at work because I was radicalized yesterday at a city council meeting. But yeah, my job is fun, but it lets me do fun stuff, and sometimes it's boring.
Can you talk about that council meeting, or no? You can't talk about it.
I got sent to get yelled at. My boss was like, "I need you to go to this," and I was sent to be the sacrificial lamb for the mayor to yell at someone. And I'm like, "I'm gonna kill my boss." I was like, "You sent me into the machine gun nest, and all I've got's a bayonet. Like, this is not cool." And even my coworker who came with me is like, "Wow, I can see why our boss didn't want to come to this meeting." And I was like, yeah, and now I got to drive like an hour and a half plus home from this like middle of nowhere town that's really mad at us. And it's not even us that they're mad at. They're mad at an engineering company. But it's just like, ooh. So I'm fuming as I'm like driving back to the land, and I'm just like, you know, I'm just like, oh, I can understand why people want to just you know.
You're not a mailman, are you?
No, I am not a mailman, and I would never go postal.
That was my favorite scene from Jumanji.
I am a humble Excel monkey. I am a finance guy.
That was my favorite scene from Jumanji, the Hunter Van Pelt, where he goes in. The gun store guy was like so like nerdy. He knew exactly.
You're not a mailman, are you? Yeah.
Yeah. He's like,
it reminds me of that. It's that this is my Christmas time guilty pleasure movie is Jingle All the Way.
Oh yeah.
And Sinbad's just like, and I pick up thousands of these bombs in the mail, and he's like, nobody move. I work for the post office. I'm a highly stressed individual. I got a bomb.
We need a T-shirt that says that I'm a highly stressed individual. I'm a mailman. Yeah. Yo, what happened to Sinbad? Sinbad was everywhere in the late '90s, in the early 2000s. He was like everywhere.
I'm sure someone in chat can tell us, but we watched Thank You for Sharing, a documentary about mental health awareness campaigns in the history of American psychiatric medicine, and it says some things that are very true, and then it sort of doesn't make, I think, a strong enough thesis statement other than to say awareness perpetuates a cycle of social contagions and symptom pools that encourage America's increasing mental health crisis. To which even some of the individuals, academics, authors, internet personalities, will say that there isn't really a crisis of mental health, but a diagnostic crisis. And of course, there are multiple other issues I think that you could get into with mental health, such as hormonal and chemical imbalance with the food we eat, the clothes we wear, the chemicals we're exposed to. But I mean, it offers an interesting look at social contagion, the history of diagnoses, and of course, it does have sort of a subtle post-left kind of communist feel to the discussion on the issue. But it was overall an interesting documentary highlighting something that I kind of already was aware of about social contagions and how they spread, and how our psychiatric system really just only helps the pharmacology industry in that school of thought. But overall, it was a well put together documentary, and it was interesting to see how some of these people look and talk from the internet, including Logo Daedalus and
Jack the Perfume Nationalist.
So I mean, yeah, and plus some interesting psychiatry professors and historians.
Yeah. So to begin, though, the reason we call this Purplemania is because this is the infamous clip that they shared with Logo Daedalus in it that a bunch of anime racists took on as a meme. That he said, pick anything, okay? Pick color purple. People are afraid of the color purple. And, say it's Purplemania. Then you have a Daily Beast article about Purplemania. Then you have experts talking about Purplemania everywhere. Taylor Swift is Purplemania. And that's how a social contagion perpetuates. And so that's where the meme came from, Purplemania.
And he's not wrong in that statement.
He's not wrong, yeah. But everything Logo does becomes a meme now. So it's, it is what it is.
I feel like he needs to either get some plastic surgery or to start mewing or to shave his face.
Gain weight, start working out. Yeah,
get some. He needs to get a little fat. That way, that old picture of him doesn't get used every time that there's a fun posting event. Because I'm sorry, at a certain point, I hate to break it to you, you either live long enough to be a well-respected writer, or you get a bigger audience / prestige, or you get turned into a lolcow. And I hate to. I think it's kind of over for the author of Selfie Suicide because he's a lolcow, whether he likes it or not. And I think that it's kind of this is my humanity, empathy. You can call me weak or whatever. I don't care. I think that has to be a really horrifying, shitty existence to know that any time that there is a shooting on the news, that the first thing that people will do is be like, "Oh yeah, this is the guy." It's not Sam Hyde. It's Mr. Lynn D. Walker.
That was terrible.
And I don't wish that on. I really don't want to wish that on anybody.
Yeah, the FBI visited him.
That's a shitty existence. And doesn't he have a wife and kid, or he has children?
He's got a wife and kid. Yes, he's got.
That sucks.
Yeah.
There's my empathy take. We can move on. I'll close my heart to pity now. But his former friend deserves it way more than him, in my opinion. Oh, there you go. So I was listening to this documentary, and the things that Logo was talking about, was talking modernity, and then the pharmaceutical industry, and the creation of social contagions, which creates more diagnoses, which perpetuates a feedback loop cycle. And I was like, wow, these are points that Gio would make. And in my head, all day today, since watching it this morning, I had this sort of Logo Gio dialogue in my brain. It's just Logo, we're not so different, you and I. And he's just like, well, what makes you say that, Gio? Da, 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 da. And then you would be like, well, you and I, we agree that modernity and neoliberal capitalism has atomized the human individual, but you never take it far enough. And you want to look towards the Chinese, and I want to look towards the nation, and the fact that immigration causes atomization, the foods that we eat, the hormonal imbalances, and that everything that you're criticizing is true, Logo, except you're on the side of the people that perpetuate it. And he's just like, well, Gio, I guess we're going to just have to disagree. That's right. I'm going to block you because you're a Chinese commie. End of discussion.
It happened a few times on BTR. I will not lie. It happened once or twice.
And that's so different, you and I, Logo. I just don't have Chinese dick in my mouth.
he blocked me. He unblocked me for a little bit, then he blocked me again. I forget the
Now, if you
details.
excuse me, I've got theosophy books to read.
No, but Loco, I mean, he did.
No, he
make
made
those-
very cogent,
yeah.
coherent points. I had to get my jokes out of the way. There was nothing that was said there that I actually really disagreed with him on. Really, actually, any of those people that were being interviewed, even though I'm
Right.
sure they would call me a chud or an Austrian painter aficionado. Which I have all of those internet people blocked.
They
anyways.
they interviewed I forget his name, but he's a pretty
Big
prominent
Substack guy, right?
Substack guy. What's his name? Not Crumpler.
No, it wasn't him because the Crumpler doesn't look like that. But I will. He did make a point though, because he has. I believe he said he was diagnosed bipolar or some kind of mental disorder.
Yeah.
But he was talking about, one of the things that he had utilized was the Catholic Church as a way to sort of keep him in check. And if I have these rituals and I have a calendar, I can kind of keep my life on balance, even if I slip and fall in my own condition. And that's very true. For an example, and I love this woman to death at my church, is that she's been there since the beginning. Her husband was the starting priest at our parish, and he's reposed for quite some time now, and her mind is beginning to fade. And it's really, and she'll tell you, like, getting old is the worst because you can't remember things. And that breaks my heart because she tells me that every time I see her. But the, liturgical cycle and the calendar and the actions and the rituals that we do really help her mental condition. So to see him do that, it's very heartwarming and true. And I think that there is a lot to say that, to echo Byung-Chul Han, that one of the biggest crises that has come out of the disappearance of rituals has been the exacerbation of meaning in mental health crises. And if you have something to keep you anchored, all the better. But no, I mean, there's a lot in here in this documentary that I would say is overall very positive. I don't think it ends on a particularly strong enough note for its sort of thesis statement through line that the crisis reinforces a feedback loop, which allows people to pull from symptoms as society changes, especially since the post-industrial revolution and then the post-war era, as we stopped having asylums and we created a pharmacology system behind it. That thesis statement is still there throughout the documentary, but the ending does not hammer it home particularly strongly. And instead, it kind of meanders a little bit. It's very sharp, very tight for the first 3 chapters. And then 4 and 5 kind of get a little weak towards the end. But I mean, overall, it was an enjoyable documentary. And I'm very thankful to the people who made this viewing possible.
Well, the thing is, though, is that with documentaries, it is very hard to like maintain steam all the way to the end. Very few documentarians can do that. But I think, like, to me, okay, so they did a pretty good history to start from the beginning. And of course, when you watch the film, right in the beginning, you're hit with this infamous logo Daedalus screed about Purplemania. Like, you're just bam, right out of the way. Then you're hit with Jackproof, You Nationalist. Then you're hit with another film content creator. He also follows me.
The former alcoholic.
Yes, yeah.
I think his name is Mike.
Mike, yeah.
Is that Mike?
Then you
was that who I think
that was the Mike. Then there's other Substack creator who's very popular, who's been published everywhere, who's a writer. The guy that says he struggles with his weight because of the depression meds and so forth. So
yeah, he's just like, it's either a life where I lose everything and I end my own life, or I take these meds with a reduced quality of life, but I don't, my life is a life. It's not in shambles, which is true.
And apparently when you take a bunch of these meds all at once, it does shorten your life to an extent.
Boy, don't I know it.
Like, you're prone to all sorts of like hypertension and different like cancers and so forth. So
yep, I can relate.
Yeah, so well, because essentially you're suppressing a part of your immune system in a way.
Well, for me, yeah, but also with your brain, with those kind of chemicals, you're also disrupting neural pathways. You're deteriorating your myelin sheath at an accelerated rate. So I mean, like, there are things that are going to go haywire pretty early if you're on those meds for a lengthy period of time, not to mention hypertension, weight gain. If they're off balance, a significant increase of certain self-harming tendencies. So I mean, like, there's just a lot of problems
Yeah.
that we have, and of course, these drugs are still really in the long-term scheme of history. I mean, these drugs are still new,
Yeah.
and relatively with longitudinal studies, not as many as we would like. So yeah, I mean, like, a lot of people who are on these things for lengthy periods of years, they're their own kind of experiment with respects to how it impacts their body and their body chemistry.
Yeah, and just for medical clarity, so we don't have disinformation, whatever. We're not talking about like regular psychiatric meds like SSRIs or whatever. We're talking about like
Some
he
very
was
powerful
very
psychotics.
powerful combination antipsychotics for very rare cases where basically nothing works. Like there's something wrong with their brain and nothing works, right? Um, so yeah, there are always, but like he was saying though, there's risks and benefits to everything. So do you want to live your life as like a homeless schizophrenic person, or do you want to have like a functioning career and a job and a family and so forth? So in the documentary, thank you for sharing. It starts off with this, of course they have to get the fireworks out of the way, but then it goes into the history of psychiatric medicine dating from before World War One. Of course, even before Sigmund Freud, there were a number of people, talking about medicines of the mind and so forth. A lot of people that Freud cribbed from, like Walter Godek and so forth. But then it really kicked off during World War One, where there was a need to have a form of industrialized mental health or psychiatric care. And then the US military, the Army Corps of Engineers, and so forth, they discovered that you can screen for people around World War II, but screening really didn't matter because a lot of soldiers did come back with quote unquote shell shock, where it was the first time where there was a dramatic demonstration that environmental stressors can also create mental distress and so forth. And that has been a huge linchpin of, for example, the 70s anti-psychiatry movement, to say that a very like hardline biodeterministic view of mental health. Uh, for example, someone very close to me in my family has this line, and we always debate about this. And so, it is always that debate that's created. Is it really a product of one's biology, or is there epigenetical or environmental phenomenon that contributes to it? But the one criticism I have of the film is that for a film that sells itself as one about the social media age, it seems that they were overtly invested in the actual critique of psychiatry and the history of psychiatry and mental health. And it seems like the whole social media thing was like an add-on at the end. You know what I mean? Like it
Well,
was,
no, it's there at the
yeah,
beginning as well. I mean, first it starts with all of the repeated news headlines that you and I've seen for our entire lifetime and older.
yeah,
And
yeah,
they have, like, the whole end the stigma behind social or mental health crises going back to like the 1800s in newspaper articles. So I
yeah.
mean, like, this has been they got a bit of history with it. But no, they also talk about the social media aspect of it, because now everyone's got their hashtags, their Pride months. The Purplemania thing was actually really funny because it showed a Facebook page of like Purplemania or awareness or whatever. But the
Yeah.
ribbon also had a bit of purple on it, which I thought was really funny. But so no, I think it's there prominently at the beginning. I just you do get a good history, um, albeit it is, I would argue, somewhat slanted to kind of reinforce the feedback loop symptom pool argument. They do a good job of talking about the explosion of the DSM-5, or just the DSM in general, as this diagnostic tool wherein we can frame things with diagnostic language, and that becomes the hermeneutical lens in which we view all mental conditions. Because yeah, there's very little discussion about environmental factors. There's almost zero discussion. Actually, there is zero discussion about hormonal imbalances or anything caused by diet and lifestyle,
Hmm.
and uh, including certain risky behaviors, I will say,
Oh
um,
yeah.
because they'll
That
talk.
tend to perpetuate itself in a
Well,
way.
yeah, because they showed all these news clips about, well, if you're black in Britain, or if you're an African American, or if you're da 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 da, whatever group, you're 7 times, 20 times more likely to have some kind of mental health condition or whatever.
Maybe because there's no sun in Britain. You ever think about that one? If you're a black person living in Britain, like
I think I would just be depressed living in a place that's clearly not meant for me. Not just sun-wise, but civilizationally. But because you can only feel like an outsider for so long. It's like that James Baldwin essays about when he visited Europe, and he clearly knew that like he was never part of this civilization, and he was just like the adopted bastard child because of American slavery. But anyways, like,
and modern like woke-tards use that as an argument against civilization, Western like European society, when they should be using it for an argument that it's not your own.
Yeah, you should go back home. And
and there's but to their credit though, Baldwin did talk about that. I mean, he did spark one of the original, if I recall, back to Africa movements in America.
He was a big influence for it,
yeah,
and was an advocate. But I mean,
but lo and behold, American blacks go back to Africa and they realize that they're also different from people in Africa. So it's like, oh man, like I think
they truly are their a kind of their own in that respect. But
the only way, as a side note, the only way forward for black people in America, unironically, are people like Tariq Nasheed and that spiritual that like, he's a doctor but he's a mystic, Dr. Coleman. He's very popular on Black Facebook. Like FBA American, foundational Black Americans, they got to find their own thing. And I think any like New Age mysticism is good.
That should have really come. This is one of those Steve Saylor talking points that I love so much. He's like, if Tariq Nasheed really wanted to have an impact on American Black politics, he would have came up with this whole FBA thing and made it more prominent back when Obama was running for office.
Yeah, but that's what I mean. But Obama's like the perfect neoliberal subject because he doesn't want black people to, like, in America, to feel a sense of themselves.
He wants to be a white liberal from Chicago.
Yeah.
Like, he wants
that's a pro-black argument.
He wants to be white so bad.
Yeah, exactly.
I don't think that's a pro-black argument. It's just like, no, he's just a liberal. I'm trying really hard to be nice. He is a progressive mixed race child who clearly only leans into ethno-narcissism when it fits him, because clearly trying to act like a white liberal and reading theory doesn't get you laid, but defending the tribe over the other, like his like Jewish ex-girlfriend or whatever. It's he is the perfect subject in that regard, but also he is the perfect example of the what's the word I'm looking for?
It was beneficial for black people to be alienated under him. Yeah.
Well, that 100%. And also he's just like the perfect example of the oh God, it's gonna bother me. Why the hell can I not recall
like
this
Ta-Nehisi Coates type of
it's gonna bother the crap out of me. Who am I thinking of? Oh, The Ordeal of Civility. Oh my gosh, that was going to bother the shit out of me. John Cudahy, thank you. Yeah. Oh my, that was going to bother me. But yeah, okay. Now that I've said that, yeah, he's like the perfect example of just like other racial groups having an ordeal of civility.
Yeah. No, but that's what I mean. Like Obama, he never like the
$5,000 by use in January 1st, 1987. First print edition of that book on Amazon. Oh my gosh.
Better go to Z Library.
I already own it. I already own a hard copy, but good God.
Whoa! No, but Barack Hussein Obama, he didn't want black people to sort
what a whiplash.
There was all this thing, like people like Ta-Nehisi Coates are like rolled out to be like, black people are finding themselves in America because of Obama. Obama didn't want black people in America to find themselves. I'm sorry. He wanted them to be more alienated and integrated into a faulty system, to be used as essentially regime foot soldiers. And he didn't want any sort of like unique FBA identity that could lead them to sort of like a society within a society. And for all the times where Obama would mention people like James Baldwin or like who's the anti-slavery Marxist that wrote about Lenin, Du Bois. Like, for all the talk that Obama brought up in those speeches, he didn't mean a word of it. I'm sorry. But anyways, that's
it's
a
not.
side
Those
note.
aren't his people.
No, of course not. No.
Like he allegedly born in Hawaii with
Indonesia, but yeah, Hawaii for argument's sake.
I said allegedly. Well, I said allegedly. I said allegedly. Allegedly. So like clearly, not really born in Hawaii, allegedly. Ahmad al-Baraki bin Hussein Obama. Isn't it crazy that we were like killing, Middle Easterners in 2 separate wars the same time he got elected? Isn't that like the whiplash?
And we elected a guy named Hussein? America elected Hussein. Yeah.
We elected a demon worshiping Muslim? What? It's an absolutely insane whiplash to go from George W. Bush.
The boomers were unironically correct. Yeah, like Satanist Muslim.
No, again, like I said at the beginning, the boomer cons is they have as terrible as their legacy is.
Like the ancient Giga chat.
You ask like the regular, like the lady who confronted Senator McCain. Like, her instincts are just, like, right. And it's just, like, you just happen to have the most libtarded GOP nominee ever for that election. She's like, I heard he's, like, an evil Muslim and wants to destroy America. You're absolutely correct, madam.
Yes, like, he's an evil Muslim. The Newsweek cover, the first gay president.
He is the first gay president. He was.
Yeah. He was. Well, I don't know. Didn't they... Weren't there rumors that other presidents were
There were allegations thrown against Martin Van Buren for being a manlit, alleged incel gay guy. There's never stuck.
Gay cell.
There were some that claim Abraham Lincoln was your first gay president, but I don't think that that's true. As much as the Southern revisionist in me wants it to be true, but then that would be even more humiliating that the South was crushed by a gay guy. But
that's sort of like the debate in The Believer. Why do you believe in this guy if he didn't actually do
it? I can't believe we reviewed that movie.
Yeah, and then come on, it does.
That was like in the first 10 episodes.
Yeah, something like that.
Like the first 5, I think we did a Ryan Gosling review show.
Yeah,
oh my gosh.
Yeah. Why do you believe in this guy if you didn't do it? Oh my god!
He was sent to punish us. Eli, shut up! Don't you know?
Shut up! We're not in front of them.
That movie is like Philip Roth levels of like self-confession to the world of your neurosis.
They should have had like Don Rickles in it or something like that. That would have been funny. Not in front of them.
Or Rodney Dangerfield. Hey, not in front of them. I can't get any respect. Like, we know, Rodney. We know.
Hey, I know you hate me. I don't get any respect. Maybe you're right about it.
Maybe you're right about it.
Forget about it, okay? It happened 50 years ago. Forget about it.
We've gotten dangerously off track.
Yeah, anyway. So, to bring it back to the movie, though, speaking of... that's one thing that Jack actually brought up in the film was that he was, like, struggling with his sexuality and this whole, like, label of mental health, like... Which, I mean, he said that argument a long time ago that, like, the unyielding positivity of the LGBT community actually contributed to his anxiety about things. Even though, like, I don't know, like...
Because gays are happy all the time.
But, like, even though, like, Perfume Nationalist, he'll, like, revert to the same, like, sometimes, like, he'll, certain clips of the podcast to, like, revert to, like, especially with the Catholic Church, about, like, lib talking points, but...
He has a podcast?
The Perfume Nationalist.
Oh.
Yeah, it's very... Yeah, so...
Terrifying.
It's been around for a long time, but anyways, no, he'll, like,
this is
whatever.
The benefit of having these people blocked. This is my only impression, is what I saw in the documentary.
But no, but he does bring up
but
he does bring up a cogent point that, like, the whole, like, the tie-in with, like, the LGBT community and mental health, and, like, how to him it's like the transgressive aspect of it's no longer there, and
he was right though. He's like, well, as soon as gay marriage got passed, we went straight to like transgenderism, and it was just like, all the cons knew that this was coming as an effort to. I mean, this is what Sam Francis is talking about in Leviathan and His Enemies, is basically just like, well, really what the system wants is a perpetually atomized and deracinated society to where any semblance of identity is commodified. and that allows you to bring in more people for widget making, right? So clearly no ethnic identity. And then secondly, like, it makes it easy to perpetuate new identities, to commodify and to expand your power base. Like, okay, we got the gays on board. The gays are never going to leave us, in the same way, like, it's not like the Jewish vote. It's 80-20 for, Kamala Harris. It's like, we don't have to worry about them right now.
Are black people going to vote against Kamala Harris? No.
No, they're not.
Are gay people going to vote against her? No. Well, I shouldn't say there probably is like some MAGA, like Twinks for Trump or whatever, but like, no, but in terms of like the LGBT community as a whole, like they're pretty.
So now it's like, we're moving on to the next commodified thing, and it ties very well into the pharmacology stuff, because it's like, well, we've got PrEP and we've got all this other Truvada crap. So now what do we got to do? Well, the Pritzkers, you have the transgender industrial complex, you have an entire pharmacological system that is designed to create, sterilize, and castrate people for an identity that has primarily been perpetuated by a social contagion. They were talking about how, like, we saw dissociative identity disorder. We saw multiple personality disorder explode after the movie Sybil came out. And
Sybil, that was that was a big one.
And again, like,
my mother remembers watching that back in the day.
Or the discussions about faking orgasms when Harry Met Sally came out, and then all of a sudden you've got today we've already witnessed, like, clearly it is a social contagion that is it's not even a social contagion. It's what would be classified as a suicide contagion. That's advocating for self-harm and the destruction of yourself as an identity. And it is propagated by a multi-billion-dollar industry with a lot of multinational companies that sort of transnational
and governments.
that you call about, Gio.
Yeah,
and it's state-sponsored, as all of
here
these
in Canada. I mean, come on, the MAID program.
Yeah, I mean, MAID is another example too. Like, submit to the Indian colonization of Canada by redacting yourself in the name of healthcare.
No, but yeah, go ahead.
And so, but just to finish off, like, I mean, the core thesis though about, like, the expansion of these groups, because there's a pharmaceutical industry that's behind it, that we can use diagnostic tools to generate widgets, to generate solutions to said widgets. These, like, social contagions and diagnostic tools allows us now to stand and create new problems, new drugs, new campaigns, new identities, new disorders. Shout your disorders, be cheery about your issues. And the documentary does a good job at pointing out that this has been the case throughout the 20th century, especially in the American world of psychology, psychiatric medicine, and therapy. And I think that part is very cogent and very true. I just don't think that they get to...
What would be your criticism then of that? Like,
I would simply say that it's only based in sort of this Marxist lens of, like, power and commodification, when it's so much more than that. Right. It's so much more than that, and it could go deeper. But I guess, again, we're not the target audience of this documentary by any way, shape, or means, I would argue. And so for who they brought on to talk about it, and I mean, these are people who are either post-left or have some kind of communistic leaning. We've seen the logo at these at what's his name's
Haas, Infra Haas.
Well, not even just Infra Haas, but also, what was that other dude's name? The guy who wrote BreadTube Serves Imperialism.
Great. Caleb Maupin.
Yeah, Caleb Maupin stuff for socialist stuff. So I mean, like, clearly, with who you're working with, you and I are not the target audience, but I mean, for what they're aiming to argue, it's very cogent and it's well put together with decent production quality.
There was this one Antifa account that was, like, obsessed with Caleb Maupin, who said that Logo Daedalus, that Caleb Maupin's a fascist because Logo is a fascist because Logo was friends with me at one point. That's
well, Logo was part of a whole
network of frogs
some nearly 10 years ago.
Yes.
How the times have changed.
No, I mean, but then, I don't know, because, like, Logo, he interacted with a lot of frogs. He especially interacted with, like, Facebook and Metaphor. I don't think he was always he always was kind of ambivalent towards BAP. But, I mean, him and Campbell, they were all up in there, like, they were all with the frogs. And Logo, like, this was a year or two ago where Logo tried to claim that Frog Twitter was MAGA communist, or Frog Twitter, there was, like, a Marxist element of Frog Twitter.
Yeah.
And I'm like, no, there wasn't. I mean, there was, to the extent that there are people like me, certain writers of Countercurrents, or people that were saying, okay, maybe if you read like certain postmodernists or like certain even like reconstructed Marxists, like say Sorrell, then it's like, but to say that like there were frogs who were communists, like that was just Logo like trying to wreck on the
I
history.
mean, there were a
for his
lot
own
of
benefit.
frogs that were reading postmodernists. I mean, like
Yeah.
people, you know, like
Richard
outside of
Spencer read postmodern. Yeah, you know,
you
like
and
come
I
on.
have read postmodernists for. I
Yeah.
mean, we read them in college for God's sakes, and we still find their stuff interesting. I mean, you had the whole base Deleuze thing also from Justin Murphy. I mean, like there's people who read that stuff. I can't say that even back then there were particularly open advocates for what would be like classic Marxism or communism. I mean, there were some that definitely were, but those were also the same people that like 2 weeks later would be like, we need to side with these like lesbian cat girls to own the libs. And it's like, no, we don't actually. But you know, that was the
It's
take economy has been around for forever. So
it's funny how like the fork in the road with like OG Frog Twitter or like people in the alt-right is like Logo Daedalus, MAGA communist, third worldism, China number one. And then you have Richard Spencer, NATO shill, libtard. Like it's like you couldn't get. They both were reading Baudrillard,
he
and
interviewed. He spoke with Gunter Fellinger not too long ago.
recently, yes, yeah,
I should say
yeah.
Gunter Fellinger Jans. He took his wife's last name and hyphenated his.
Oh my god.
And he argues with Martin all the time on Twitter. It's so funny.
Oh man. Apparently he's an Apple or he's like a Apollonian now.
He's an Apollonian man.
That's yeah, so like I don't know, it's just
He's an Apollonian man.
I guess I mean you couldn't have a greater contrast with like Russian Orthodox Christianity, I guess. That's probably why Gunther, you know, like his ethnic hatred of Russia is just compelling him to be an Apollonian. So
well, that and I mean, it's not like Germany isn't in a war with Russia right now.
yeah, true. But like no, but I don't know. I'm kind of curious to listen to that interview, but anyways, no, but it's very funny though, because to get back on track, because we keep talking about like frog lore. Because Logo, you know,
frog lore.
But it's very funny though how they're talking about these problems with the psychiatric industry. How, and again, it is a very like Marxist. This is a very like I would say 70s not culture critique. How would you say it? 70s cultural criticism. People like
70s new left criticism.
Exactly, like books like Everything Solid Melts into Air.
Yeah,
very Christopher Lash.
I'm very Christopher Lash, and I'm looking at this through like the lens of Illich's medical nemesis.
Yes, Ivan Illich. Yes.
Yeah, and so like I'm looking at it through that lens, and they're just like, yeah, absolutely, we're going to talk about just like big pharma, which I mean is absolutely valid to criticize, and big pharma is awful.
No, but particularly the connection between, and please need those super chats, the connection between a particular form of commodifying life that comes from the corporate world, that comes from the systems of knowledge that was created in the 19th century and early 20th century, that all these think tanks, along with a lot of corporate stratagems, intersected with government policy to create this like mass democratic, quote unquote, mass assembly line picture of mental health as a benefit of the social and then corporate order to create like perfect cogs in the system. But I think a right-wing criticism of that, especially nowadays, especially the way that the right is nowadays, and Wormwood, if you're still in the chat, you know what I'm talking about. A right-wing criticism would be that, okay, it is true that for nefarious ends, these things came together and these bodies of knowledge came together and intersected in a certain way. But why is the mental health of the nation as a quotidian and as a force of nationalist interest, why is that a bad thing? Because then they would say, well, it's because it's manipulating people, it's treating people as human cogs. But then I guess the right-wing eugenicist critique would be, yeah, but like every society treated everybody like human cogs. Every empire had a form of biopolitics. Even Michel Foucault himself said that biopolitics is an amoral analysis. He's not saying like a lot of these left-wing activists that read Michel Foucault and Judith Butler especially. He's not saying like biopolitics are bad. He's just saying that this is just a fact of how a very advanced, very literate, post-industrial, technologically driven society culminates into a vector of knowledge collection, and how different systems are set up to create and produce both knowledge, data, truth, even because truth is always tied to knowledge. So all of these things follow logically. Michel Foucault wasn't just saying, as an example, Michel Foucault wasn't just saying like, oh, biopolitics are evil because of this and that. It's like, no, he's just saying that this is the culmination of various practices of knowledge in the 19th and 20th century. So a frog would look at this documentary and say, why is that a bad thing? If we can engineer people's mental health towards better ends, towards more nationalistic ends, then it wouldn't be bad. But because the mental health industry is run by people like the Pritzkers, it's like it's not good, right? So, but then the post-left argument would always, it's like it's pulling towards this argument of human sovereignty that at the end of the day, I hate to say, and I'm very well acquainted with this literature. I love people like Christopher Lasch. I love reading Baudrillard and a lot of those other thinkers. But at the end of the day, Byung-Chul Han, but at the end of the day, it's like, well, every society manipulates human knowledge. Every society has a model picture of a model subject.
Yeah, every society has a political formula that you sell en masse.
Exactly.
That justifies your existence. And the political formula for this society, while they talk about it, kind of, with like Jack did with like the transgenderism thing, like what's the famous like frog Twitter tweet where it's just like, if you're a lefty, you can have disagreements on like economic policy.
The Jens tweet.
Yeah, the Jens tweet basically like but if you like even disagree on race or gender, like you're anathema. Like, and all that stuff is uniquely tied to a psychological condition, and it's tied to how we talk about mental health in the United States. Because even at the beginning of the documentary, they have some YouTuber talk about the fact that, what is it, like over half of liberal white women in the United States are on some kind of
SSRI,
drug, SSRI. And so, okay, great. Clearly, America's got a problem that is pharmacologically enforcing a particular political structure and narrative. And on top of that, too, I think the other thing that you can critique from, even from a, especially in a Deleuzian sense, is that what are all these awareness campaigns doing? Right. They are societies in which you are to feel like you're in control. It's a control society, you know, like I'm in control. I'm in charge. I'm in charge. No, you're not.
Self-affirmation.
You're self-affirming that you're free, but you're not. And I mean, what was a better example of that than last October, when you would see these tweets and these posts on Reddit saying, I'm pro-Palestine, but my HRT comes from Israel. Like, is that not the most like Deleuzian tweet that I could, you could, it's there. And that's the critique that you can levy is that, you know, the I don't want to say the left is like the real fash or whatever, but like, even the whole, like, the health of the people, the health of the state, nothing but the state, that requires you to have people that believe in the state. It requires people to have a regime or an ideal that they're willing to die for.
No, left has their own biopolitics, clearly.
And they do. And that's what I'm saying is that, like, as much as these people are correctly criticizing, like, Big Pharma and the control society and the pharmacological tyranny that comes with it, you guys more or less are going to side with the state every time. You know?
You don't mean the documentarians here, you just mean the left in general?
Left in general. Yeah. And I mean, like, let's not kid ourselves. All the people that they interviewed, those professors, those personalities online, it's not like they're ever going to be a radical righty or try and, you know, conquer a revolution or anything like that. Like, it's just, I don't see that happening. Do you?
No, of course not. But I do think that some of their ideas are, I think, can be used for productive ends.
No, and I would agree with that. There's some things that they analyze and talk about that I would agree with wholeheartedly.
Well, they interviewed a Jungian analyst, and she like just seemed like an old school hippie woman.
Yeah. Like
a hippie boomer woman, you know?
She seemed like a woman that had a good time at Woodstock, you know? Like, I mean, she was just calling out the fact that, like, yeah, this has sort of been the system forever, and it has its issues.
It's almost like when New Agers, when they describe like, I want a society of like,
That's the perfect
affirmation.
description. That's the perfect description. This was a very new agey documentary.
Yes,
calling out a very serious problem.
I like the documentary, but I'm just saying, like, when it
so
comes
did I.
to,
I'm not dissing the documentary. I'm just saying that it left me with a lot of thoughts because there was a lot of stuff in it I clearly agree with,
yeah,
but also my political predilections took me in a totally different direction.
no, but that's what I mean though. Like when you have like a lot of people, especially who are like new age hippie, like liberal types, they're like, oh, I want a society where like people have a purpose and people are free and people they can live their own truth and all of that. It's like, well, there were a lot of authoritarian societies that didn't have these problems because, like, obviously, now, okay, Logo would say that China doesn't have these problems, even though.
Well, they don't have those problems because they either execute those people or put them in camps. But I don't know if
or
Logo's
they fall,
ready.
or they jump off the factory.
Or or they just they get past the nets.
But that's bourgeois propaganda, according to Logo.
Of course.
Yeah.
No, but China number one.
But, yeah, exactly. But the point being is that even though Logo, he's like a weirdo pro-China LaRoucheite MAGA communist, there is a truth in the sense that command societies. Now, is it the case that command societies cover up the fact that they have a mental health problem? Or is it that if you have a society where people just simply are given a purpose, where these like issues don't really come up and they're actually a product of like modern bourgeois freedom? That's always been the debate.
And that's a great critique that you can levy that I wish they kind of leaned into when they're talking about these awareness.
Oh yeah, Logo would have jumped on it like pigs in acorn and be like, in China, they don't have a mental health crisis.
But I'm not even referring to him. I'm just referring to what the documentary presents.
Yeah,
because they point out very clearly, both the documentary, the narrator, the people they interview, that all that you're doing, again, is propagating a feedback loop of a social contagions where people are over-medicated, overweight, and are incapable of anything, really. And so, I mean, if you're looking at this from, say, like a national security standpoint, right?
Yeah.
Like, you look at that and you're like, holy shit, this mental health awareness thing is an absolute disaster because now no one is fit enough to serve in the military on a psychological level. That's where you get the joke about, what's the word I'm looking for? You get the joke about the Stone Toss comic about, oh, our certain battalion has already taken 41% casualties,
Oh, that one. Oh, that was terrible.
But on top of that too, like the overweight aspect, the mental health regards, you have these clearly identifiable issues. But on top of that, what are you telling the rest of the world? You're telling the rest of the world that America is over-medicated, fat, weak, and that they extol the virtues of shouting your diseases. And that I have BPD and this is totally okay. That I have autism spectrum disorder and this is totally okay. When in any other point in history,
Marty!
when any other point in history, this would have been totally like, no, you sweep that shit under the rug and you don't let your enemies know that you've got some serious problems. And I mean, that comes to my mind. And also the other thing that's well worth like looking into with these things is that, like
I can't put that comment up, Marty, about China. I can't put that's YouTube. I know that's kind of risky.
I think you can. That's such a great tweet. It's such a
China
great comment,
China
doesn't have a mental health crisis because I don't think hive insects have such complex brain type required for such a problem. Thank Marty Phillips, author of Millennium and Let Them Look West, available now in stores everywhere.
I denounce.
He denounces.
If there's any Chinese listeners. But anyways, finish your point.
If there's any Chinese listeners, I should just put up the Great Firewall of China. But anyways, to conclude the point, just that the feedback loop instills a society in which it's almost kind of it's just the control society made manifest, but also on a national security level, this is only for a specific political class. Like right wingers aren't going to be on Zoloft and being like, yeah, my life is so great now, and I can like shout about my depression. Like no one does that. Instead, those are going to be the guys that get shipped off and then take all kinds of pills when they go to God knows where in the Middle East or Africa, saying, "All right,
or Eastern Europe.
all right,
Yeah.
Sonny Jim, you're going to go take this little pill here. We're going to say it's for malaria, and now you're going to go kill Ivan, or you're going to go kill Muhammad." It's just like, okay, while your wars abroad are going to fund the Pritzker's latest HRT invention to keep a whole
Here,
political
take this
class.
pill. You're going to go and smoke either Ivan, Zhao Zhe, or Muhammad. It's like, there you go. That's the global transnational progressive empire, and you're going to do it for human rights, and you're going to do it to fulfill the maxim of the.
And you're going to do it so we can trans your kid, you know.
Yeah, and hopefully that society that you're totally destroying, that their kids are going to become impossibles too one day, and that's the dream, baby. You know, to quote the Lamb of God song "Contractor," you know, paint their white picket.
Oh no!
Paint their white picket fence red with the American dream. Yeah.
Let me go find Marty's book, and I can just quote that great line about progress.
There was that one Dimes and Jules. They were reviewing The Shield.
It's Dimes and Judas.
Yeah, Dimes and Judas. Sorry, why do I keep calling him Jules?
Yeah, I don't know.
Trauma from BTR, if you remember. Anyways, Dimes and Judas, they were reviewing The Shield on Blood Satellite, and Dimes did say he had a great line. He goes, you know, if you were like a couch slug in the early 2000s, it was a great time to be watching television, and it was Kino. But the point I was going to bring up is that I think that, okay, so what was I going to say? The critique of it and the mental health industry, but like, why do we have it? And like, okay, I was going to talk about the obesity thing, which it
touches on.
That's what I mean. Like, I don't know. I probably don't want to get too much into it.
You don't want to. Okay. Well.
I'm getting like furious text messages right now. Don't like trauma dump. But no, I will say one thing. No, but I will say though that they're often correlated because, okay, if you are someone who is in the quotidian of obese or morbidly obese, there is an incredible lack of agency to your life in your own body. There's an incredible degree to which you cannot, not just physically function, but mentally takes a toll on you. The fear over injury, the fear over working, the fear over getting along in a society that largely doesn't cater to you. So that is the reason why the obesity crisis so thoroughly correlates with the mental health crisis, right?
Yeah.
Now, but the response being this like weird form of positivity and affirmation. Now, should there be like an approach to where people aren't ridiculed to such an incredible degree? Yeah, fine. That is a correction from the previous response to people who are overweight. But when it comes to like severely life-threatening body positivity nonsense, that is correlated with this sort of like unyielding positivity of the mental health industry in general, then it really begs the question, is there not a degree of positive biopolitics that should be inflicted on people to say that it's not that you can just take things or you can feel good about yourself. Maybe the reason you feel like a prisoner in your own body is that actually you are a prisoner in your own body, and that maybe you should try to change it. Not to say that you should be like relentlessly mocked and ridiculed, because there's a lot of different reasons as to why people are obese, especially morbidly obese. But that being said, the response is not to get you to a level of optimum or even minimum health. The response is to get you to be comfortable and positive in your existence, which is two very different things. Because things that require longevity are very uncomfortable and are not happy and are actually a slog and actually will put you in a level of discomfort. And so I think that's the problem, is that you have two extremes. You have like the total callous, like former whatever normie sadism towards fat people. But then you also have this other thing, which is equally, if not more so, destructive. Because that one thing could actually maybe like rarely motivate somebody. But to say that you're conditioned to be this way and that it's natural and that actually you're beautiful this way and that you can take things to mentally change your state instead of physically change your state, that's the destructive quality. That is the negative biopolitics of the current moment. And that's why the mental health industry is so highly correlated with the obesity industry. No, how should you say it? Obesity industry. Yeah, you could say obesity industry because a lot of
there is one
multinational. Yeah, there is one. Yeah, multinational.
In the same way that they're talking about
love fat people. Yeah.
Well, the psychology thing, it also applies here. With obesity. The same thing that just exists, that's there. And if you want to learn more about obesity and all that sort of jazz, there's a free hour of the whole thing I did with David Harrod over at Tukey's Mag that's been re-uploaded to my channel that you can go listen to us ranting and rambling about that sort of fat girlfriend meme.
I should have been on that one.
No, I don't think you would have wanted to.
God.
That was a lot of fun, though.
It's made by like one guy too.
Well, not anymore because it's got a whole fucking shitcoin associated with it.
No, the guy that runs the shitcoin. I think like he makes most of them.
Ugh.
Yeah, I know. Nugs promotes a lot of them.
Yeah, that's true.
He did before. He did before he got a bunch of death threats though, because he's like, there are a lot of people that were so pissed off because they would each like Nugs would like tweet them and it would go like super.
It'd be like
viral.
"Good morning, Kings," then it would go viral. Yeah.
Some of them, like the perspective ones, were quite creative. Like the one where, like the missionary one, where you could see like the stretch marks. Like that was.
Yeah, I talked about that with David. It was insane.
The obesity industrial complex. Yeah, no, 100%.
Yeah, so this was if you want to talk about sort of like the whole pharmacological state and the regime. I just to quote Marty's book. So this is from Marty Phillips. This is from Millennium. This is the second story in their Holy Hunt.
This is what Marty said. Encouraging self-destructive behavior is still normally sadism, just a female version of it.
Yeah, it is. It is in that case. He says he says, "You see, I ended up a more advanced life form than other men. You ended up a worm, a mindless child without history or future or self. It's ironic. The new man, the best kind of man, must have have your qualities, but within limits. Our future will belong to men without history. I'm speaking of the world's future, of America's, whichever you prefer to say. It makes no difference." The voice became more electric, full of varying derangement as the sergeant seemed to speak out in others' words. "Beyond what I am a being who makes me laugh because he is headless, who fills me with anguish because he's made of innocence and crime. He holds a weapon of steel in his left hand, flames like a sacred heart in his right hand, unites in one eruption, birth and death. He is not a man, but he isn't a god either. He is not I, but he is more than I. His belly is the labyrinth which made himself go astray. He laid me astray, in which I begin to find myself being that he is a monster. It's good that you will die on this island. It's a mercy. Let me guess at your origin. You're an American, like me, middle class, naive, well-intentioned. It's probably what got you in the situation in the first place. You thought that as an American, the whole world was your inheritance, and it was really the other way around. The fact that you got mind-fucked makes no difference. There's no future for people like you. You're just smart enough to think that you matter and stubborn enough to insist on it when the mood strikes you. And that's why you're obsolete, and I will be too. No matter how we die or where, we both die for our country. We all do. And it's a really good book. I contrary to Tukey's Mag, screw you guys. This is my favorite story in this entire short story collection.
They didn't like Holy Hunt?
They did not like Holy Hunt.
What? Holy Hunt's the best one.
I know.
Because Holy Hunt, that's like the spirit of America in general, like the manifest
especially the whole global war on terror, early America. Yeah. Anyways, go buy Marty's book. Go buy Millennium. Yeah. Go buy it now.
But that was a great passage because it shows that you are sort of like, you are subject to the winds of the machinations of history that goes beyond you because you are the last man. And that's actually the culmination of a weird inverted form of the American project, that throughout the world that you too will become last men, that you too will sacrifice everything on the altar of this sort of meal of nothing. And that actually there was that one moment where the general, the commander, he has a speech that I forget where Marty got it from, but on Content Minded, I interviewed Marty about, and we talked a lot about that short story, Holy Hunt. And he says, like, I've seen that their cause is just, and I will help defend them. And it's like, irregardless of the context of the tradition around any people, like the Holy Hunt, that there will be this like all imposing categorical imperative empty moralism
Yeah.
that will accompany it, and that you too will sacrifice your own people, your own identity, and your own self fundamentally for this maxim. And so I think that was such a great and the fact that like the main character was sort of like a mutilated half man, half beast that was created by
Being,
cartel
yeah,
scientists.
cartel
Yeah.
scientists testing out drugs.
Yeah, so
There's a whole other thing that doesn't get talked about in this documentary about mental health and pharmaceuticals is our relationship to the cartels or to China. Because clearly we do have a relationship to those, but we make these sound like a uniquely American problem. And like, sure, the American Psychiatric Association has been sort of the preeminent world standard, and that's certainly true and has been for decades.
yeah.
But the pharmacological aspect of it is so internationalized. That I don't think you can call it American at a certain point. They might be for tax purposes, but they sure as hell aren't in their science or their labs or their research technologies. Like it's clearly so much more than um,
Yeah.
something a problem. Yeah, it may have started here in America, but even that's debatable. A lot of early psychoanalysts is that fell away. They were looking for answers that weren't just dialogues, as that one professor I think from California was talking about. So I mean, there's clearly a lot there to work with, but it could have gone, I think, into more depth. But
Yeah.
I get it. You also wanted to tell a human story with the people that you analyze or you interviewed and such. But also, again, it goes back to that Ivan Illich sort of medical nemesis thing. Like this is just a lot of this is a replacement for prior standards of taking care of these sort of problems, like the
Yeah.
confessional booth.
No, but that's the thing. Like you have that sort of, I mean, that crosses over into anti-psychiatry, but you do have like that body of knowledge, whether it be like Ivan Illich or Christopher Lasch or various other sociologists around the mid 20th century, late 20th century. You have like Adam Curtis documentaries where,
Yeah.
okay, so you have examples like in authoritarian societies or command societies, like the Chinese, right? The Chinese will just force you to take an SSRI, or they'll just force you to correct your behavior. Or you'll have some kind of like Lee Kuan Yew model, which is more benevolent, but ultimately the same. But in America, you still have that same biopolitical apparatus. It's just that they have to have a very like nuanced way of selling people that trick themselves into thinking that, I mean, not just North America, but also Europe. Although Europe, they have more nanny state stuff, but still, like, regardless, like Canada, the Anglosphere in general, Europe, America, they have a more nuanced way of telling you how to do things, but they have to sell it to you in a sort of an affirmative way. This is what Byung-Chul Han said about the power of yes rather than the power of no. Because the Chinese, if you're mentally unwell, they'll just force you to take pills. They'll just force you to do whatever, or any other society like that. But in America, you have or in Europe, or in Canada, or in Australia, you have a totally different form of biopolitics in which you are essentially sold your own unfreedom as something that is free, and they have to like go around it and have like very like couch terms towards it. And it is like sort of a testament to how you can't really explain a lot of it through just sheer like Machiavellian planning. Because, for example, let's go back to the obesity thing. Now, there's multiple millions of taxpayer dollars spent on fighting quote unquote obesity, or fighting mental illness, or fighting for poverty, or whatever. But at the end of the day, you know, those things persist. And
Oh yeah.
there's no like real magic to having this sort of like quasi corporatist, quasi libtarded, quasi libertarian, quasi managerial society in which we've manifested this like turnkey civilization that doesn't have values except for these like universal empty categorical imperatives, and they don't really have that much sway,
Yeah,
and we
some
like to
some
think
some
they
moral
do.
therapeutic deism, but there's
Yes,
no actual
exactly, yeah.
belief system. But at the same time,
But yeah,
like
people are fatter than ever. People are on drugs more than ever. People are
Yeah, and I mean, also, like, if you're looking at this
sunsetting themselves more than ever. Yeah.
and if you wanted to look at this from, say, maybe a more libertarian perspective, if like the old saying is, war is the health of a state, then I mean, if you declare a war on everything, well, hot damn, do you have options then to keep yourself in more control and restrict the liberty of a free people and more than ever?
Right.
Now, we are certainly not the ancestor. We're not worthy to compare ourselves to our ancestors. We do not hold a candle to men that were willing to take up arms against the crown or anything like that. I would not dare make that comparison. I am a joke compared to my forefathers. But, to buy off of that control society, I mean, clearly, if you're going to declare a war on this and we're going to quote unquote end stigma, it's that very soft handed, the velvet glove holding the gun or the pipe wrench that says this is how things are going to be now.
The brass knuckles and the velvet glove.
Yeah, if you're not gonna be on board, that's okay. We can just, warn you about those mean, nasty MAGA Republicans that want to take away your prep.
No, but that's what I mean. Like, everything has to be sold as a moral crisis, and there needs to be an enemy. Particularly, there needs to be the political right.
Well,
that
because
is threatening
because moral crises are the backbone of all. What's the word I'm looking for? They're the moral backbone of virtually all existential crises. If you have a different morality system than the other, then clearly the other is going to flat out be your enemy. I mean, and then it just kind of goes back to Schmitt.
No, exactly. Yeah. No, that becomes a form of like ontopolitics or like political theology. Yeah. Because then therefore, like, it constitutes a way of doing modern politics in a managerial and a biopolitical technocratic framework rather than an authoritarian one, because you can't entertain that. And it's like, we can't do it.
Even though you live in sort of, it's not even one authority figure, but you do live in a soft, authoritative state of just absolute tyranny.
No, but that's what I mean. Like, and I think like people have a different way of doing it. Like, obviously, in America and in Canada with the Conservatives, like in America with the Republican Party, in Britain with the Tories, you do have like this fake opposition that has a different approach that appeals to patriotism, even though it's only appealing to patriotism to like fight wars for other nations, like that one in the Middle East, or it's only appealing to patriotism to accept. And then, I know, like, I am critical, and this is where like the quantification argument's true. I am critical of like certain excesses of corporatism and capitalism,
because it is, as one should be.
Yeah, because it's basically like the Republicans are like, well, you have to accept like a worse quality of life, and because in actuality, like, you could have passive socialistic programs if you did like have a majority population that wasn't, let's like, if there was control over the borders, if there was a sense of true identity, if there was a sense of what constitutes a nation and a people, you could have these things, right? But because you have like, okay, the Republicans are like, well, we can't really do anything about immigration. I'm not talking about Trump. I'm talking about like, mainstream normie conservatives.
Yeah.
Oh, we can't do. Yeah, we can maybe like,
you can criticize Trump a little bit. I mean, the greatest thing Trump has ever done is move the needle rightward on immigration.
Right. But when it comes to like Jeb Bush, Mitt Romney,
I mean, Jeb Bush Jeb Bush was talking about like to Hispanics in Florida when he was like governor. He's just like, basically he was saying that his marriage is like a political feudal marriage of bringing peoples together.
Yeah, like
the global South is the new America, and it's just like, you are evil and must be destroyed at all costs.
You could have a based interpretation of that if America was willing to become like an imperial power over the Americas in general. Like, but
I don't think we're James K. Polk-pilled anymore.
No, but like you see with Mexico, like there's so many dangers from like the cartels, even to like the American
the Sonora
government.
Desert should just be turned to glass for good measure.
But like even like the Mexican government, the socialist woman, the woman there, like even
Gloria
before
Steinbaum.
Yeah, but even before her, the president, like they were talking. It's very similar to almost like Erdogan with the Muslim refugees in Turkey.
Yeah,
where it's like
real biopolitics that like we will just flood your country with migrants and suck
if you don't give us these reparations and these like global transfer payments and
no,
but that's what I mean. Like if you did have a program,
there are much more pressing biopolitical problems. But not to say like this is the one thing that I do agree with like RFK on. This is that like actually no, there's a huge pharmaceutical and pharmacological psycho crisis that needs to be addressed. And
Yeah.
unfortunately, it's so low on the totem pole because it's so integrated into the American system of how our politics work. Like when you have that meme article that people like to point out, it's from like Science or whatever that says like, oh, we messed with we used magnets to change the threat response
Yeah.
that people have, and it changes people's perspective on religion and immigrants to be basically like we use magnets to make you a libtard. Um, I mean, you ask anyone who's on these drugs, well, what are your politics? 90% of the time, they're going to be liberals or some
Yeah.
kind of leftist thing. So,
No,
like,
but
yeah, you have a whole patron class that has become, you know, talking about how they've got these, public processions. Shout your, medical redaction of your baby, or shout your bipolar disorder, sponsored by Zoloft and all these other like, pharmaceutical companies, et cetera, et cetera. And it's just like, great. We have a crisis, but that crisis is so deeply integrated into keeping the liberal regime alive that they're going to do that. And that is again something that Logo does point out and would be correct on. It's just his alternative is just as bad, if not worse.
no, but that's what I mean. Like it's weird because you can say that there's an opposition there, and it sort of feeds you these palliatives that are sort of like pseudo activities that really you shouldn't bother with, or they're redirecting you. But I'm trying to think, like, is it the same for like the Democrat Party and like hardcore leftoids? It's not, though, because they give them everything they want. So it's like, maybe I guess like if you were like a Marxist, you could say that the Democrats, they're just like basically not even socialists, they're just liberals. But on the whole, when it comes to cultural or social issues, you can't like really say the same thing about the Democrat Party or any leftist party. You can't say the same about the Liberals under Justin Trudeau in Canada when it comes to the far left. You can't really say the same about even Labour now, because Labour in Britain is literally jailing the chuds. You know what I mean? They're literally jailing the right wing opposition. So it's different. But the point being is that when you have mass quote unquote democracy, or you have the appearance of such things that don't actually exist and probably never did exist, you have to go about things differently. You can't just tell people what to do. You have to tell them why they're doing it. You have to tell them how to do it. You have to tell them that's ultimately for their benefit. Now, the problem is that when a lot of like old school leftists, like new left people, or even like bread tubers that I see still, when they talk about how, you know, Western governments, they're like forcing people to have families and they're forcing people into this eugenical thing. It's like, no, that's not actually the reality.
Man,
That's
I
like
wish.
maybe in the 50s, but not now. Like they're not forcing people to be productive capitalist citizens.
Yeah, this isn't
Yeah,
they
no, it's a
live.
lie.
This
No,
isn't they
yeah,
live.
yeah,
Yeah.
exactly. No, they're forcing the opposite. They're forcing you to be even more dysfunctional.
Childless and dysfunctional and enslaved.
Yeah, yeah.
But,
But that's what I mean. Like, where did that jump happen to where you had that old school biopolitics that was concerned with the citizenry, that could go for military service, that could go into corporations, that could, you know, have the bourgeois normative atomic family in suburbia. I mean, suburbia itself was a deracination, but that's besides the point. Let's just say, for argument's sake, when did the switch flip to where corporations and governments discovered that being single, being obese, being on different drugs, not being productive is actually more beneficial? Like, I wonder, like, where that biopolitical and governmentality turn actually happened. Because mainstream academics will never say that. They'll never admit to that. You know, mainstream sociologists, they're never going to like actually examine that. Maybe they'll do some things like with like critical disability studies or whatever, but they'll never like come out and say that it's actually public policy for people to be unhealthy. They're never going to actually do that, because in actuality, their picture of health is something that's evil and oppressive and heteronormative and white patriarchy. So it's like, conceptually, there's a number of conceptual flaws with people that should be paying attention to this stuff. Because why is it that, like, I guess what they would say is that, oh, well, of course McDonald's wants fat people because they're an evil corporation. And McDonald's is an evil corporation. And McDonald's doesn't want fat people. But when it comes to like government programs that want people weaker and more infirmed, it's like, how did that form of governmentality switch over? Like, you know what I mean? Like, mainstream academics are never going to talk. I mean, maybe some of them in a little, like in their own little way, can like say that, okay, uh, a lot of social metrics are not there to produce healthy individuals. They're there to produce very sick and very dependent people. And those people inevitably will get erased because we can just grab people from the global south who are even more dependent and are even more unstable. So, you know what I mean? It's like how,
Yeah.
yeah, yeah,
Well, on one extent, you can. I think maybe it was because as things became far more global in the economy, and of course, you were looking for a model to compete with, at the time, a global power, say like the Soviet
yeah,
Union or whatever. You were then transitioning to a system that was like, oh, like it's actually easier and cheaper to get new widgets elsewhere than it is to sustain our own population. And I mean, again, immigration's a huge aspect of this, along with deindustrialization of the American heartland. So, I mean, but also we just legally allowed ourselves to, by an unelected court of judicial tyranny, as I talked about when going over the new right papers, just basically say flat out, okay, we're going to let progressive victories happen by judicial fiat. There's going to be really no alternative to this, and that unelected bureaucrats are going to determine everything. And that old saying about, these institutions being ran by your enemies is true, because we have
yeah.
documented proof that America went from sort of like the liberal, big L liberal, racist, progressive kind of attitudes of the, you know, pre-war,
Unironic meritocracy, unironic racist
unir-
liberalism.
yeah,
Yeah,
unironic racist liberalism to, well, that's fascist and we can't have that. And we've also, legally waved away every progressive victory by the means of the court. And that's a big part of it. As to say when's the exact switch, I think that would require some actual serious research rather than
yeah.
just us shooting the shit on a live stream. But I do, think that there's a lot to be said about that America has just allowed itself to be wrecked from within in this regard.
Right. Yeah, but that's what I mean. Like the actual mechanism switch. I mean, a lot of it could just be on a spiritual level as well. That civilization, Western civilization, refused to believe in itself, and therefore these other imperatives come along. And
And it became basically illegal to believe in yourself.
yeah, 100%.
I mean, if there's one thing about the post-war consensus that you can definitely say with any degree of accuracy, was that, the idea that you should believe in yourself and where you belong and what's home, that's illegal now.
Right.
You
But you
know,
can believe in yourself in these pseudo activities, though.
you
You
can
can believe
believe
in
in yourself
yourself.
in these really cute diagnostic terms.
Yeah, exactly. And then that was ultimately the whole point of the doc. Well, except for like the post-war consensus, it wasn't like a right-wing documentary, but
Oh heavens, no! But it
that
was.
definitely was a keystone. That like you can only believe in yourself in the metric of what the DSM-5 says you are, or you can believe in yourself in what this like empty affirmation tells you to believe in, that you are a unique, special individual because of your illness and because of this infirmity. And it's just like, and then even logo at the end of that rant is like,
Yeah, he
I,
talks about
I just,
Anglo
yeah,
society.
I read books and I talk, and that's the way I function. If I didn't, I would go insane. Even though
It's kind of already insane.
although he does tweet like he does. Someone said that in a group chat once. Logo tweets that he doesn't actually read 1,000,000 books a year. Um,
You're telling me this for the first time.
oh man, guys, see those super chats. What are you doing? Is YouTube lagging or something? I don't know.
I don't
Is
think
YouTube
so.
going away from streams?
Mm.
Maybe. But the entropy links there. YouTube super chats. Come on, guys. What do you do? Maybe because I streamed last week, so they're like, "Oh, I want to double dip." There are people that stream every day.
Do not commit to the don't make this a $5 moment about
I made the goal.
yeah.
The
Don't
goal.
don't
There are
don't
people. Nisha, I should stream every single day. Like I should go on Twitch, and I could like just talk nonsense for hours at a time. Just stream for pennies in the gutter.
You could read
Green
those,
Glassful, you're gonna
Rumble
give me
ads.
money this week too. You're gonna give me money. No, but you know what I mean? Maybe I should be like, I should do like you know, go for 5 hours, like just talk forever.
You're a neat. You could pull it off.
Now I couldn't do that because I would run out of things to talk about. It would just be like white noise. I believe in quality over quantity. I mean, I shouldn't say I believe in having a balance between quantity and quality. You know what I mean? Like I feel like
in this house we believe in in centrist lolcow posting.
Yeah, because like think of it. Yeah, exactly. If I were to be like, you know, like a certain someone with a certain southern accent who lives in a certain province of Mexico, then like I can't.
Everyone
you know what I
knows who
mean?
you're
Like
talking about.
I made the goal. The goal is the most sacred thing in the world. The goal is everything. The goal is the thing that exists between heaven and earth. To Ethan Ralph. So
the super chat goal is the firmament.
Should we have a goal for the stream? No, we can't do that. That'd be.
I've had
get
that.
Embarrassed.
I've had that in mind, but I've never done it out of that exact concern of embarrassment.
Yeah, exactly. No, but they say a goal could motivate people like pay piggies to donate.
Well, first of all, they're not pay piggies; they're pay angels.
Pay angels, yeah. Pay chads.
Pay chads, whatever you want to use.
Well, no, like someone said they wanted to pay
members
me
of the Merchants Guild.
Someone said they wanted to pay me my usual $100 fee for a film to review certain black gentlemen from outer space, in particular Persuasion. I actually like that film though. I would review it if someone.
Wait! You like the film?
It was a good film. No, it was a good short film.
From outer space.
It was a good short film. I actually did like it. It was good. Me and my two best friends watched it, and it was like we were like, "Wow, that actually was a good, like a well-made film. It actually did make sense. Not that it made sense, like no, but like it actually was a good.
I think
aesthetic
they should pay you
film.
$200 if you're going to review gay.
Yeah, you pay me $200 and I'll review that film. No, because there was a scene at the very end where there was like this pool party thing, and it was like very like there was like a garden next to the pool. It was very aesthetic. It was very nice. Where all the women were gone, all the women were G-word-eyed. It was only men. It was only buff European. For some reason, the gay gentlemen from outer space, they only like buff European men for some reason.
Interesting.
Yeah.
I have no words.
It was, yeah. Best friend. No, there were my two IRL friends.
I can't believe you've watched that movie.
We watched it for
I don't know if these are things I would ever admit on air, but that's good to know, I guess.
It's on YouTube, believe it or not. I remember I heard this like serious academic film professor actually talk about that film in an interview. It was hilarious. It's sort of like that one film, the something N-word like the sexual I forget. I think Dimes was talking about it. I don't know.
I'm okay with not knowing.
Sun Ra in bed with Jesse Lee Peterson. Do you think Sun Ra would be like a black MAGA conservative? It would like. Can you imagine if Sun Ra were to?
Depends if the check. Clears.
No, but like if Sun Ra came back, one of the most brilliant jazz musicians who ever lived, who had this whole spiritual system around his music, and all of these like, you know, kind of like post left or like new left people, they all loved him, right? Like all the people that write for Varso. Imagine if Sun Ra came back, right? If he was reincarnated. He came back from Saturn. And he said, I'm voting for Donald J. Trump. Like all the Varso Books people would just like, it would be over for them. It would be over. If Sun Ra came back from the planet Saturn to complete his mission. He said, I am a black conservative and I'm voting for Donald J. Trump.
I have been to Saturn. I have seen Argatha from afar. I am voting for Trump. Yeah, it'd be fun. But let's not kid ourselves.
Bill Watson, I would need $200 for one of those, and I wouldn't be able to watch all of it. And I don't know how I could review it on YouTube. I would have to like speak in metaphors to review those meme documentaries. It just wouldn't. I'm not gonna. No, I wouldn't even accept. No, I wouldn't. Just don't pay me to do that. I can't. It's just too unoptical. I can't.
Yeah,
it's too.
Those kind of films. That's a no-go.
Do you remember that like Wignac group that like Antifa? They were like hounding them. The Something Defense League. They were like handing out QR codes at Halloween. They're like
Yeah.
handing the kids QR. Oh my god, that's terrible. Like they're like, and I believe it was Wormwood that said you couldn't even give him a rip DVD of the doc. You have to hand him a QR.
Yeah.
Couldn't even like drop your revisionist mixtape. You had to like hand him a QR.
It's like when the Denny's doesn't give you a menu, it just says scan the menu with your phone and the QR code.
Yeah. Who's gonna do that? I hate that, man.
I honestly, if your establishment doesn't have an actual menu and it has a QR code, your place deserves to get torched.
Well, like you gotta drive around a lot for your job, so you probably know. You're probably well acquainted with Texas.
Actually, my favorite diner that I've recently really enjoyed going to is literally right down the road from my office, and the food is delicious. And I can get a great meal for under $20.
Yeah,
really under 15 actually, depending on what I order.
That's rare.
Life is really good. It's the closest thing I have to a double R diner where I live, and I'm a fan.
Yeah. Second City Bureaucrat was saying some funny stuff about the DNC in Chicago late last night. It was kind of funny. Like there's that like one lady, was she like a politician where she like actually brought out this like big book that said Project 2025. She's like, this is Project 2025, and you can just hear like the ear piercing boos.
Oh yes, the 905-page PDF. That is Project 2025 and all of its problems.
And like, what was the whole point of that? It was like just like it is ridiculous.
It's their boogeyman.
But Trump denounced it. It
doesn't matter. It's their sticking really point. Yeah. And it's not like those policy positions aren't going to be like probably cribbed from if Trump gets in.
I was gonna say that we were very hard on the Chinese, but imagine if we had like.
We can be hard on the Chinese. They're not.
No, but like imagine like our like few like one Chinese listener who's risking his life with like multiple firewalls he got on the deep web just to listen on my favorite content creators, Gio and Prude, Digital Archipelago. I'm risking my life, and then he turns into this episode and just like we're totally insulting him. Like, you know, like, that's fun. I mean, we're very sorry. He's like living in like a one-room box apartment in Shenzhen, and he's like,
goes to the factory every day. Just walk into the lathe. Just walk into the lathe.
No! Oh, and he's just like
they hunger. They hunger for the Chinese.
One of his only joys in life is
listening to two late 20s, early 30s North American.
Yeah.
I'm trying. I won't insult myself too hard, but yeah, just I like how you've come up with this like fictional scenario. You'd be great at charity work, inventing just like some sad sack I have to give $1 million to.
Yeah, maybe I'd be a good cult leader that way. I don't know. No, probably not. I couldn't do that.
All right, Gio cells.
Holding out king size butterfingers with copy.
that are holding out king size butterfingers that are laced with a certain, substance, so you can go to the
Griper.
go to the spirit world
with copies of Europe of the Last Battle Griper. A Chinese person walking to his new job asks, "Why does the lathe have a Dark Souls boss?" Oh, that's bad. That's terrible.
That's funny.
Get Nick Land on for Chinese or their people stream.
We could probably make that happen. I would love to talk to Nick Land.
Me too.
I don't know if I want to talk to him about China, but I would love to. I'd love to spend an hour talking to him about ontology.
There was that one viral tweet that got like 100,000 likes about you don't want to cross Chinese women. It's like they're insulting Western incels or whatever, and like an anime racist quote tweeted that with like an act-jack of a Chinese person getting crushed by machinery. Like, it's funny because like I wonder if like because of this firewall, I wonder if like the Chinese government's paying like Chinese e-girls to insult Western incels online. I wonder if that's like a viable conspiracy.
I'm sure some of them do it for free, and
Yeah, probably.
and
Yeah.
I'll tell you what,
Like the
that's
North Korean femicides.
they're gonna lose that war every time. You can't. You can say what you will about America, but you cannot beat our racists.
Yeah, no, but they were like, but like
We're
it
the
was just like
backbone of this internet.
it was just a pile of like poetically sounding expletives, like you have no soul, you have this, your
Neither do
parents hate
you.
you.
Neither do
Yeah,
you.
neither do you. Yeah.
I will not be insulted by a fucking praying mantis. No,
A
thank
Chinese
you.
femcel? No, but it's very
A
funny
succulent, a succulent Chinese meal. Yeah.
succulent Chinese femcel.
No, there's no such thing.
Oh
There's
god,
no
yeah.
such thing.
Well, they can never compete with the
Chinese
Japanese.
succulent. Pick one.
No, but like you can never compete with the Japanese hikikomori women. Like that one where there's like bugs in her room and there's like grime everywhere. You've seen that video?
Oh yeah, I did. And
Yeah.
Gabe from Tukey's Mag said that was his future wife.
Oh my god, he could probably fix her.
He says he also wants us. He also wants us to end up on the third season of Fish Tank, so he can finally get his quote unquote feral girlfriend.
There you go. He could end up. Gabe can end up with Summer.
Gaby is literally just a 20-something-year-old version of you.
I know. He's my spiritual wife's son, as I say.
Your spiritual wife's son. Let that sentence sink in. Even in your fantasy here, it's still your wife's son. I expect better of you.
Yeah, Gabe's my spiritual stepchild. Yeah. He's like,
my wife's son. My wife's son.
We're rooting for Gabe.
I'm not. I'm rooting for hammers.
Yeah, like Jimmy comes out and just hammers Gabe. Yeah,
I'm just
setting season.
I'm on the side of Cap and David. I am the spiritual boomer.
No, but it's funny because I think like the Chinese, they're learning from the South Korean femcells. They're probably like, you know what I mean? Like, because it's just, you know what I hate? It's usually K-pop stans. It's usually like these leftoid Zoomer women who are like, oh, these like they're so cool. These Asian women, they hate Western incels. It's like, well, I mean, you can't.
Yeah,
hate
but they're also like suiciding their own
incel hate to Korean and Chinese women.
And like they're also voluntarily committing extinction of their own people.
No, but that's what I mean. Like, it's sort of like how conservatives will sublet their baseness to like third worlders or to like base black guys or whatever. It's sort of like the leftoid equivalent or like Zoomer K-pop leftoid women that have to like sublet their incel hate to Korean and Chinese women.
Yeah.
It's like, can't you do it yourselves? What, you can't come up with a string of expletives?
They are doing it themselves. They're suiciding their own race.
No, but I mean like the Western femcells.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like you can't come up with a poetic metaphor about how this guy's a loser incel. You have to like rely on some Chinese Communist Party bot to tell you that this guy's like his family hates him. Like, come on, man. Like, it's just
when you're a misandrist femoid and your job got outsourced by a Chinese bot.
A Chinese bot, yeah. Oh, it's not looking good. It's not looking good for Zoomer leftoid women.
It's not looking good for him. No.
Yeah, it's not good. Look at what Bill Watson just wrote. How can you write that? I can't even read that.
I don't have much really else to say on the
documentary. I thought it was a good It was a good episode. It's just that
it was a good documentary.
Yeah.
I mean, I just have different conclusions than they do. I mean, like I agree with their analysis. I just know that I'm not the core audience. I'm not for them, but also that so much of this is part of a control society that they're still going to probably be a part of. Like you can have nuanced lefty takes on a lot of stuff and call yourself post-left or whatever, but either you're going to side with them in the end and hate the right and be in your own awkward little isolated camp, or you're going to just be on the side of power again because you don't want to be called the fascist.
Yeah, like, exactly.
This playbook has gone on so many times. I mean, I don't know what else to say.
Exactly. Did I say Bill Watson? I meant Bill Wilson.
You did say Bill Watson.
Yeah, Bill Watts from from AWA. Japanese shoegaze griper. I do agree with this. Reject J-pop, embrace J-noise. Yeah, J-noise is some of the best. Yeah. No, but like you were saying, like, yeah, I mean, obviously, I think that's why anti-psychiatry, was abandoned by the New Left ultimately, because it would lead to a lot of what they would consider like not politically salient solutions.
Yeah, because they don't
know
want
what I
to.
mean?
Yeah.
Yeah. So no, but that's what I mean. Like, I think that it would
You don't
lead
want to be
like,
called fashy, and so it's like, well, I got to get back in line.
but it is kind of crazy though how people do talk about how like a lot of academics, they talk about these systems of power and biopolitics, but yet they still have the same deference towards psychiatry because it's something they consider as vital and like life-saving.
It's a priestly class.
Yeah, exactly. It's a priestly class. Yeah.
Yeah.
So, but that's what I mean. Like, it just is like like at the end of the day, I mean, you can't really expect ideological consistency from anyone in the Kali Yuga, but at the end of the day,
That's
like,
true.
But there's a particular cynicism when it comes to saying, like, you have all these baroque and elaborate critiques of power and knowledge creation and biopolitics, but yet you let that one slide and you say that go to therapy. The people telling you go to therapy have at least once murmured something about biopower, knowledge, power, knowledge, regimes of carceral regimes. How can you talk about carceral regimes while at the same breath you're saying to some chud incel, you're saying to Bill Wilson on Twitter, you're saying go and seek therapy. What do you think therapy is? Therapy is a carceral regime, okay? So I'm sorry. I think the incels won in that case, right? Gio's next book, The Chinese E-Girl Conspiracy. No, we have to, like, the Chinese government, they're paying Chinese femcells to own Western chud incels because they know that there's some kind of thing there where, China has, they won't admit this, but China does actually have a demographic crisis as well because of years of the one-child policy. I don't know. I think why do you think they want Chinese women to hate Western incels? I don't know. You have to think about this, right? I don't know. I'm speculating. It's like, no, but think we have to research this. What does Logo would say that, like, well, the decadent Westerner creates the incel, and the Chinese, they're simply awakening because China, they're awakening the Republican Anglo spirit of America, but it's like they're doing it to strengthen America. They don't hate America; they're strengthening them by insulting incels, because the incels are the evil, oppressive Rosicrucian force that's dragging down the spirit of America. But
man,
actually,
if this
China,
was like the lifestyle that I had as a political ideology, yeah, I'd be on all kinds of pharmaceutical psychotropic drugs.
Don't you know that Logo
Dear
thinks the Chinese, that Xi Jinping wants to awaken the American spirit, but in China?
That just want to. I need a drink. That's
okay.
awful. It's like MAGA communism with extra steps.
But that's exactly, haven't you read America Against America?
And you already know my position on the MAGA communists.
They're traitors.
They're traitors, and Jackson Hinkle needs to be prosecuted and arrested, real raw news style. Like, yeah, you already know my opinion on this. Like,
hauled off to Gitmo.
Hauled off to Gitmo, then live streamed his extrajudicial
his trial. His trial.
Yeah, I've thought about this.
Oh my God! I do not endorse. I have nothing against Jackson Hinkle. I shouldn't say that. He's a prolific coal poster.
He's not just a coal poster. At a certain point, it's going to be found out that he's like in violation of FARA because he didn't register himself as a foreign agent.
He had a live stream with Iran and Maduro. He's like everywhere. Jackson Hinkle, Maduro, Russia, Iran, like he's everywhere. I don't know.
Yeah,
this guy's everywhere.
Like he's like paid to do it or something.
I think he went to China too.
Yeah, like he's paid to do it or something.
I don't know, man. It's like he's
Seems a
paid
little
to,
sketch to me.
like the BRIC nations, they like took their one token white guy,
They
and
were
they're
like,
like,
"Ah, yes, this chud,
yeah, he's
and
gonna be our messenger in
this
America.
divorced chud.
Yeah.
He got dumped by his Russian lady. Maybe he'll accelerate and become a Spencerite."
That's sort of like when Richard got dumped by Russia.
That was my point. Yeah.
Yeah, no, but it's very funny how like the BRIC nations, they have like one token white guy to coal post for them. It's very funny. Because Haas doesn't do, because Haas is like
Because he's not white.
he's like half white, isn't he?
Dude, look at him.
He says he's half white.
Yeah.
Or does he?
Yeah. I don't know, but
what is he, Turkish or what is he, Haas?
Deportable.
Deportable. No, but that's what I mean. Like Jackson Hinkle, he looks like if he wasn't on the payroll of the Chinese and the Russians and the BRIC nations, he would be like a news anchor. He's like the Chinese.
Yeah, he'd be a
the
local news
Politburo,
anchor at like RT or something. And
we need a news anchor guy. We need a guy that looks like an American wasp.
We need a Christopher Lash, but like 20 years younger, who can go on RT and talk about how evil America is. It's like, we got just the guy, Mr. Zhizhao, and it's just like, excellent.
But then then he says he loves America, so it's like, I don't know.
Some of the greatest traders in America have loved America.
That's true. That's true.
It's hard for me to be sympathetic here.
No, but I just say it's very funny though. We live in very interesting times. The Chinese are right about that.
That's true. We're so cursed.
Anyways,
you bastards need to pay Gio.
I can't believe it. Where's the super chats, guys?
Pay the candy man, and then let's get out of here.
Yeah. All right. So, I think maybe because I stream, or maybe it's like the end of the summer and people are like
going back to school, going back to work. I don't know.
Yeah, something like that. They're going on vacation for the last time. But anyways, let's go to Entropy. And so like I'll try to get out.
What have you been up to besides the Cole Report Live?
Well, I'll try to get that Substack out. I mean the content minded out, but I have a bunch of other shows to do, and like I'm doing the film review, the Night at the Movies with Mountain Respecter. And
awesome.
And then I'm doing Jackson Hinkle's MAGA Communist show. No, I'm kidding. I'm doing T.R. Hudson's Hinkle Hudson. Get it? Hinkle Hudson. Anyway, it's sort of like Pastor Manny. He's like, Barack Barabbas, give us Barabbas. Barack Barabbas sounds familiar. Barack Barabbas, get it? Anyways, I'm doing T.R. Hudson's thing. We're going to talk about My Immortal. And maybe I might be going on, speaking of shilling for the BRIC nations, I might be going on the War Report again this weekend, and I might be recording with Default again. So I'll try to edit up the Solion episode of Content Minded. And of course I released, when was the last time I released Content Minded? I think it was last week. I released that did some pretty good numbers. The Zoomer Schopenhauer episode on neoliberalism and British politics. It was really good.
He and I are going to do something soon.
Yeah, and you were on Oren.
Yeah, it was on Oren last Friday. Zoomer Schopenhauer and I are actually going to work on trying to get something done together. And then we are... I will hopefully... I have finally re-uploaded it this morning. I'm doing a weekly sort of meme review show with various guests. I already have next month's on to talk about emojis, specifically the gun one, and sort of the ideogram behind these sort of ways in which we communicate. But we talked, David Harrod and I talked about sort of the Fat GF meme. But we also talked about like early internet exposure and psychosecurity, as Schwab would say, and had a good time talking about that. The first hour is free. The rest can be found on Subscribestar for as low as $2 a month, as well as on Substack and other platforms. And then I'm going to hopefully have one more article out before this week ends. That way I can hopefully have enough content recorded and ready for you guys because I am moving this weekend. I am moving into my new apartment. I am getting my life together, so to speak. Getting closer to work, saving myself a lot of money in an hour commute. So there might be a disruption and delay in content. I don't know how quickly I'll get my internet set up over there, but I am paying top dollar for internet when I go over there because rural internet won't be so much of a problem.
Yeah.
But that's my life right now. And your ongoing financial support, both to me and Gio, makes the show possible to begin with. I don't know who else I would want to rant for 3 hours every week with, but Gio is my favorite Canadian.
I thought we were the meme review show.
Well, we don't really review memes.
Yeah, it's true. We're not like meme analysis.
Yeah. It's more of an in-depth once a month thing. Plus, it allows me to kind of act like you, where I talk about things that are like stupid and horny. that normally I don't have to play as the straight man on my own show, which is the nice part.
I hope someone recorded that e-girl Twitter space. That was legendary.
I think someone
did. Then Austin TND came up and he's like, he just like Feltzer, and they're all offended because then I guess they were like Nick Fuentes grapers, and then he insulted them. Anyways, but you know what's crazy? That this e-girl, she had tweets against Nick Fuentes, even though she's on the space. But she's like, no, I actually like him now. It's like, okay, well, I don't know, man. There's an e-girl is made every minute. An e-girl is tweet that.
Born every minute.
Tweet that. Quote Giant Geo, twitter.com, Giant Geo. An e-girl is born every minute. Okay?
That's true.
There you go. Anyways, look at this. Where is it? No, this one comment by ad nauseum just released the book. So we're gonna handle interests of churches, schools, and brothels.
Release the book, big guy.
Release the book. All right, so let's go to Entropy. All right, Entropy. This is Retronus.
Yeah, Retronus.
Retro anus. Sorry, Retronus. Hello, Gio and for $3. Hello, Gio and Prude. I hope that both of you had a good day, and it's a bunch of clapping. Thank you, Retronus.
Oh, thank you.
Thank you, our good friend. Sam153 for $5. Dynamic Duo, Sneed. And finally, unless go to Entropy and links in the pin tweet. Sorry, pin chat there. Melon for $3, Sneed. Thank you, Melon. And
yes, he was letting Mr. D know on Twitter today that we were live.
Yeah. Well, thank you, Melon. And then for the YouTube ones, Creeper Weirdo. I love that name. For $5. Is anyone else tired of the Democrat strategy of Weird and Brat is super heckin' smart? Or my favorite, what if Kamala is smart takes? Yes, I'm terrible. I hate those takes. There are a few coal merchants that love those takes. To be Prude, you speak on this, but to be brutally honest, when it comes to people that are inclined to voting Democrat, those things actually do work. Unfortunately, I hate to say it, but for the average, like low IQ libtard, it does work to frame it because the political left is a cult of normalcy. The Brat thing is a stupid Zoomer appeal retread, but the weird thing, it does put Republicans on the defensive, unfortunately. I will be man enough to admit that, at least in part, Trump and the MAGA people has to basically step over it and just not even address it and hammer on the inexperience of Kamala and the disastrousness of their platform and not get bogged down in the semantics of you're weird, but you take horse, whatever. It's like, it's all juvenile.
I think they've kind of stepped over it. I mean,
yeah, well.
And again, we live in two separate worlds. Like, if you're going to be a libtard, we're not going to speak the same language anyway. There are a couple of like still major swing vote areas in America, despite oftentimes we talk about that there isn't any.
Yeah.
The Catholic vote has significantly shifted to the right in the United States. According to recent polling I saw, it was like 60-40 Trump, which is the most I've seen it sway Republican in quite some time. because traditionally Catholics have been always a Democratic.
Yeah, the Democrat northern
so, I mean,
cities.
we'll see. But I mean, again, if you already live in your own reality, like so many of us do, good luck. But again, like I said this on Oren last Friday. This is the most white female millennial coded campaign I have ever seen. Like, this is written by white millennials for white millennials.
Yeah.
Like the most soy-lennial political campaign in American history.
No, but that's what I mean. But now they're like, they're psychologically inflicting Zoomers with the same coal.
Well,
and you know. But I don't know. I think like but then like there's some people that are like, oh, she's a good candidate. Maybe she's a good candidate for her constituency.
Does everyone just forget that she
lost to...
She only got more unpopular as her own primary campaign went on. And is she black? Is she Indian? I mean, she can't even speak. There's allegations that she's just like a piss drunk maniac. Like, let it be. I mean, I get it. Like, this doesn't really matter in the end. But also at the same time, like,
did she give a speech already?
I don't think she's given her official acceptance speech yet. I don't think the DNC is over. Okay. Maybe it's happening tonight. I have no idea. But
let's go DNC.
I don't think she's speaking tonight. I know that I think it just started because Joe Biden spoke yesterday. So I think this is like day 2, I guess.
Yeah, this is day 2.
It's hard for me to care. Like, my enemies are child sacrificing, lack of a better word, evil people. So it's like, you're not going to stop me from having my position. The only difference is how close are you guys to going full Keir Starmer and arresting me for my tweets?
Okay. Oh, Barack Obama is going to speak eventually tonight, or day 2. So tonight is Obama. Tonight is Obama.
Oh, bummer.
Mistake America. Hit her Kamala's husband, and then
Doug Emhoff.
Yeah, like, what a name.
She's got, instead of my wife's son, it's my husband's daughter.
Yeah.
And if I see any of you in chat thirsting for Kamala's stepdaughter, the horny jail is the least of your worries.
No, but like, there has been like even frogs are like, well, I mean, maybe it's like, well, I don't know. Isn't she a lesbian though? Like,
no, she's just very frumpy.
No, I think she's a lesbian.
She could look like the singer from Arcade Fire if she messed with her hair.
Monday, so all the caucuses did Monday. Then okay, when is Kamala? I think Kamala does on Thursday. Kamala, yeah.
Kamala Harris.
Kombucha Harris is going to, I think, do the very last thing. So if she can go for almost 2 hours like Donald Trump, then maybe she's got a chance. I don't know.
Oh, she can go for 2 hours just on Willie Brown.
Oh boy. Oh boy. But I don't know, like, to say she's a good candidate, I mean, I think, like I've said in that...
laugh.
No, but like I said in that Twitter post, though, to be contrarian, is that...
Yeah.
If you have the... No, it works because you have the full weight of the media and the Democrat establishment behind it. It's not like when Kamala was thrown to the wolves back in the primaries, when she was owned by Tulsi Gabbard, of all people. Like, it's very different when you have a consensus building machine making people think that she's a viable president, which is really crazy when you really think about how there's so many people in America that could potentially have the gravitas to become the president. But yet when it comes to this like entrenched political machine that only has a few people on the roster who have gotten there through ill-gotten means, it's like, this is what democracy... I remember Bernard Chapin back in the day. I would watch his videos. He used to have that chant, all of the the Women's March people are like, this is what democracy looks like. This is what democracy looks like. It's like, yeah, this is what democracy looks like.
There was this great, like, this was a great normie Twitter viral tweet. Was someone had taken a picture of like a TI-83 and it had all the like sine and wave functions. They're like, it's the most useless part of the calculator. And then someone quote tweeted it and they got 1 million views saying these people vote. And it's like, yeah, like that's the curse. It's what you gotta deal with.
No, but that's what I mean. Like, out of all the people that could potentially be qualified to lead America into the next 4 or potentially 8 years, and even into acts of the presidency could potentially influence America for centuries. Like, you look at what FDR did, that could influence America for a century, right?
Yeah.
Or even you could say, argue Lincoln, or, well, I mean, I'm going to say Washington. That's a pretty cheap one there, because Washington, you know what I mean? Like,
yeah, no, I get what you're saying.
He technically was not the first president. There was actually presidents before Washington.
Yeah, but I mean,
the actual real, president. Yeah. That's like one of those factoids that nerds come up with.
Yeah, but you
like,
got
did you know? Did you know that Washington technically wasn't the first Washington wasn't the first president. There were, but the other ones, they were like colonial administrators, basically, right? So yeah.
Well, no, we just had a prior system before the Constitution. Yeah. Anyways, did you people pay him? Please pay him.
Yeah, John Carter for $4.99. Trading Dave Green for Gio has got to be the worst trade deal in the history of trade. Oh my god!
That is true. He's officially an expat.
Banned from the chat.
No, that's a great tweet. That was a great tweet.
That's terrible. And
send tweet. I might tweet that later.
Yeah, and our good friend Don Browning, the beautiful Don Browning, $5 for a super sticker, but I'd have to go to the YouTube thing.
We appreciate your super sticker nonetheless, sir.
Appreciate it, Don. Thank you very much. And New Gloff for $20. Thanks for the show, King. Thank you, New Gloff, our good friend, our good patron, New Gloff. And going back to the entropy, oh my God, Capitalissimo for $15 says this is for being an old man and remembering the original and best e-girl, Cracky Chan. Well, Capitalissimo, did you know that Meme Analysis? So true. Meme Analysis did this video about Cracky Chan as the first e-girl on first 4chan e-girl before Boxy, and he compared Cracky Chan to Serial Experiments Lane. It was an amazing video, and maybe one day, I know Kat interviewed Meme Analysis a number of times, so maybe I'm mutuals with Meme Analysis.
I wonder if you and Kat, just because I know that she probably has better connections than most people who interview people on the internet. Imagine interviewing Boxy.
I wonder if that could be done.
I just need the fantasies of 15-year-old me somewhat fulfilled.
She was interviewed by like one of these like Funny or Die. Remember those channels?
Yeah.
Like she was interviewed like one of those types a long time ago. But anyways, and oh my God. Oh, here comes another film review. Oh my God. Another film review, but I think I'm probably going to split this one with you, Prude, though.
Oh, no.
No, it's not the one you're thinking of.
Well, I don't see your entropy, so I don't know what on earth they want us to review.
Sean Schaefer for $100. This is for the review of Wildcat from myself and Owen Zaleski. Make sure my $50 goes to Prude if he reviews it too. Well, I will give Prude $50 and we'll probably review it together because
we'll review that together.
O'Connor.
Because I remember you asked us the last show we did if you could split it, and we said we would do a Digital Archipelago episode on it.
Yeah.
So yeah.
What would a sensitive young man like Serial Experiments Lane? Yes, a lot of sensitive young men like Serial Experiments Lane.
We did a whole show on it.
We did a whole show on it. And actually, that show at the very end featured, God rest his soul, Gonzalo Lira. Did you know that the creator of Serial Experiments Lane has owned every single Transformer? Because a lot of the Transformers love Serial Experiments Lane for obvious reasons. Did you know that all of them are crying their eyes out because the blog the creator of Serial Experiments Lane, he is a far-right Yukio Mishima style nationalist, and he's like right-wing posting, and they're like going nuts. And so you can, when it comes to morality in media, when it comes to how the leftoids, they want their media,
when it comes
they want
to
their
ethical
slop
consumption,
when it comes to ethical frog consumption, Serial Experiments Lane has a seal of approval when it comes to ethical media frog consumption. So yes, this is a recent development. I was pleasantly surprised, but a man that forward thinking, a man that creative, is it any wonder that he's
right wing,
far right Japanese nationalist?
Not at all.
Not at all. I am a woman. Don't really watch anime. I do like the hard right wing. I'm zooming in on I's profile. That's very. Anyways, no, yeah, but no. I mean, women will like it too. I mean, Serial Experiments Lane. There's enough for everybody, so it doesn't matter that you're.
We've reviewed quite a bit of anime and Japanese stuff on the show.
It doesn't matter. It's Foyt approved.
We did a Perfect
as well.
Blue review. We did. I love Serial Experiments Lane. It has my full endorsement, and this is coming from someone who's not really a big anime guy.
Well, it was originally meant for a female audience. Yeah, so you'd like
fully endorsed. Do not care.
Yeah. No, it was originally meant for a female audience, but then of course, like a lot of autistic people found it, and it's for obvious reasons. So you'd like it too, You'd like it too. Is that what I think it is in your profile picture? Is that like a troll? The Star of David in your profile picture. Is that true that the IDF, they pay Ukrainian baddies to be in their ads? That they're not actual
a lot of Ukrainian Jews. I wouldn't be surprised.
No, but like they're like some of the not there's good never mind. Anyway, Sean Schaefer, $3. Wild Card is one of the most favorite films of the decade. It was quite enjoyable, not just because of Ethan Hawke sneaked in Jesus saying the N-bomb, but I like Ethan Hawke as an actor. I know that people say that he plays the same character, but
that's okay. I like Ethan Hawke.
Yeah, I like Ethan Hawke. I'm an unspoken.
I'm also cringe because I like the Before Sunrise trilogy.
Bill Wilson.
I am free because I am cringe.
It's just in my studio. There's pictures on the wall. Oh, I get it. Yeah. I'm an outspoken. We have the best audience, folks. We have the best. Audience.
We truly do.
Surely do. We have the best audience. Oh yeah, one more. In the YouTube by that dude for $5. Hypothetically speaking, if one was invited to a cocktail party with Maxime Bernier, what topics would make the most impact? How should it be framed?
Immigration.
Yeah, in Canada, immigration. Just hammer him on that. And he's been pretty good in immigration. And you know what's funny? I mentioned this on the Cole Report, but people didn't get it. Seneca, did I get your super chat? Let me look it up. Seneca. Gio, for $3, did my MO lore not post? I didn't see your MO lore. So if you could just
refresh your entropy real quick.
Okay. Did MO lore? No, I don't see it. But just post it in the YouTube comments and I'll read it, Seneca. So, another development in Canada is that a lib hero back in the Stephen Harper days. Have you ever heard of Mark Emery, Prude?
No.
Have you ever heard of Prince of Pot, Mark Emery?
No.
Seneca, repost it, please. Just I'm not going to scroll. I don't want to scroll up. So Mark Emery, he was known as the Prince of Pot. He was integral in lobbying the federal government to enact Dude Weed, and he is he was caught multiple times smuggling weed from the Canadian and American border, and he's like given his life to weed libertarianism. And he recently has made a right-wing turn talking about foreign influence from China and India and Canada and Canadian politics, and how the immigration system is a tax scam and a labor scam for these corporations like Tim Hortons and McDonald's. And he's been based boomer conservative posting, and all of the millennial libtards that worshipped him because of dude weed, and they voted for Trudeau because of dude weed, that all worshipped him back in the Harper days, they're all freaking and denouncing him. And so go follow Mark Emery on Twitter. It's been quite a pleasant surprise. So
well, there you
and
go.
so Seneca, let me just scroll up then if you gave your lore. But no, post in the YouTube comments, I mean Seneca, for the Missouri lore. I can't scroll. It's yeah, there's too many comments. So I'm going to look at entropy again. I don't know. You know, next time we do DA, we'll get it, Seneca. But it's just, yeah, I can't seem to find it on YouTube. Anyways, this has been a great stream, and my energy is getting low. It's been almost 3 hours. So hopefully Prude will get his situation sorted out. So if not next week, well, no,
if
we'll
not,
see what
I
happens.
presume the audience will understand as I move into a new place.
We'll try to get an old head on for the Gamergate episode for the 10-year anniversary. We'll try to get Sargon. If not Sargon, we'll probably find someone else who is integral to Gamergate. And yeah, so
well,
yeah, he was a big time lead.
We'll try our best.
Anyways, so thank you all, ladies and gentlemen. Me and Prude will have to make a note to we can't get Daddy Jim. He's too hard to get.
Also, I feel like if you were to get him, it would be like
Lord
torture.
Dunpower. Yeah.
I don't want him to I don't want to put a man under medical duress, I guess.
No, he goes on Kino Casino. He still does his own streams too.
Well, yeah, intermittently.
Yeah.
I don't know. Well, that would be awesome, but I doubt it.
I feel like you have to know Jim in some way to get him, though. That's the thing.
Yeah, so
maybe a 24-hour live stream for the episode 100.
Well, if we're gonna do that, it's gonna be on a day that it'll be on a Friday.
Yeah,
because I get off work at noon on Friday, so I could make that work.
That would be brutal. What are we gonna do for 24 hours?
I could think of a variety of things to do.
Yeah, true.
But we'll make episode 100 special, I promise.
Yeah.
It will be a special episode.
All right, boys and ladies.
Distinguished pay froggies, new guests, journalists, doxers, old heads. Goodbye, good night. We love you. We hate you.
God bless. God bless. Goodbye. Too sweet.
See you, gents.